Chapter 391. What's your name? Sun Hao asked. Senior, my name is Lei Outian, you can call me Little Lei. Thunder Tribulation Lord said. Little Lei. Sun Hao looked at Thunder Tribulation Lord. Do you really want to be my guard? Yes. Very much. Senior, don't worry, as long as I am here, I guarantee that no one can hurt a hair on your head. Thunder Tribulation Lord said. You mean that without you, someone can hurt me? Sun Hao's face showed a trace of displeasure. Thunder Tribulation Lord's body trembled, and his face was bitter. He couldn't wait to slap himself a few times. It was too bad to speak. It actually made the Supreme Existence unhappy. It was simply asking for a beating. Senior, of course, I don't mean that. I mean, if you want to attack the senior, you must step over my corpse. Thunder Tribulation Lord said. Even if there is no salary, you are willing? Sun Hao asked. I am willing. Thunder Tribulation Lord kept nodding. That's fine, from today on you will be the guard. After speaking, Sun Hao turned around, walked into the courtyard, and closed the door. Yes, yes, senior. Thunder Tribulation Lord's eyes were shining, standing by the door, holding his head high and chest out, with a face full of excitement. Seeing this scene, Han Xing was stunned in place, and he looked surprised. Fuck, you are also Thunder Tribulation Lord, but you come here just to be a guard? Where is your integrity? Han Xing looked at the black-veiled woman. Boss, Okay, it's normal. The black-veiled woman looked cautious. What? This is normal? A ruler being a guard for others? And shamelessly kneeling, where is normal? What good is this for him? Han Xing said. You still can't see this? The black-veiled woman showed a look of disappointment. If you can get a ray of auspicious light and want you to kneel and worship, will you go? Han Xing was shocked and seemed to understand Thunder Tribulation Lord's intention. Indeed, that kind of supreme luck, not to mention a ray, half of it, he would be willing to kneel. Boss, of course, I am willing, but how can the senior not see his purpose? Of course I can tell. However, staying in front of such a person is a kind of luck in itself. I dare say that even if that old bastard from the dragon race came and saw the scene of senior transforming the supreme blessed land, he would also kneel and lick it. The black-veiled woman said. What? Han Xing opened his mouth wide, his face filled with disbelief. Boss, don't joke around. That old fart is extremely arrogant. Back then don't mention the past to me. The situation is completely different. How could I not be tempted by this auspicious aura? The black-veiled woman said. Boss, should we go look for Senior now? Han Xing asked. No, I don't know why Senior was angry just now. If we rashly go over, we will definitely offend Senior and make Senior unhappy. The black-veiled woman said. Then what do we do? Let's go, we'll come back in 2 days. All right. The two figures gradually faded away and disappeared without a trace. In the kitchen of Sun Hao's residence, Sun Hao and Huang Ruming were cooking. The two divided the work and had a very tacit understanding. Suddenly, come quickly, a series of shouts sounded in his mind, faintly discernible. Sun Hao shook his head and listened carefully, but he didn't hear any sound. Come again? Who the hell is calling me? Sun Hao frowned with a dignified expression. He looked at Huang Ruming and asked, Ruming, do you hear any sound? Sound? Huang Ruming frowned, a puzzled look on her face. Come quickly, such a sound. Sun Hao said. No. Huang Ruming shook her head. Young master, did you hear it? Maybe I didn't rest well and had auditory hallucinations. Sun Hao smiled and shook his head, not taking it seriously at all. But in his heart, he kept thinking about the reason. In the past, he had been suffering from angina. Every time he played the guqin, he would save some people. Now, his blessing point was full, his strength was terrifying, and there was nothing wrong with his body. It stood to reason that there should be no auditory hallucinations. But he had been hearing these sounds. Could it be that this had something to do with his angina? Why was he calling me? Also, why did he feel weak as the new year approached? Sun Hao's face was full of questions. For a while, he couldn't understand at all. Those voices don't seem to be on Xiang's star at all. Who the hell is it? Why are you in such a hurry? Does this have something to do with the Dark Era? The more he thought about it, the more tired Sun Hao was. No matter. At present, finding a suitable cultivation method was the most important thing. As long as he had enough strength, he was qualified to find the truth. Withdrawing his mood, Sun Hao began to cook. Rumming, try it, how does it taste? Sun Hao picked up a piece of cured dragon meat and handed it to Huang Ruming's mouth. Chewing lightly, the meat fragrance overflowed. The fresh and salty taste filled his mouth. Huang Ruming closed her eyes, showing a look of enjoyment. It's delicious. Young master, no one in this world can match your cooking, Huang Ruming said. Haha, Sun Hao grinned. Ruming, you did a good job too. Okay, the dishes are ready, let's go eat. They came to the dining room and set up the tables and chairs. After putting the dishes on the table, the two began to eat. The fragrance of meat drifted out of the house and slowly drifted into the courtyard. In the front yard, Wu, Blood Wolf, kept circling around Ancient Rift Sky, wagging its tail. Ancient Rift Sky looked at the void, his expression unmoved. That appearance was like a cold prince. Suddenly, Ancient Rift Sky's hair stood up, and he bared his teeth as if he had encountered a great horror. Its neck seemed to be pinched by some invisible force. His whole body crawled on the ground, shivering. As the fragrance drifted, the invisible force that enveloped Ancient Rift Sky disappeared. At this moment, Ancient Rift Sky recovered. He looked at the void, his face full of fear. Blood Wolf circled around Ancient Rift Sky, circling left and right, full of doubts. Ancient Rift Sky didn't speak. He looked in Sun Hao's direction and looked at the void with a cautious face. Little Gu, Big Wolf. Inside the house, Sun Hao's voice came. Hearing this, Ancient Rift Sky and Blood Wolf quickly ran into the house. Taste this meat and see how it tastes. Sun Hao gave Ancient Rift Sky and Blood Wolf a bowl of cured dragon meat each. Blood Wolf ate happily, Ancient Rift Sky chewed slowly, his eyes full of worry. Outside the courtyard, a figure slowly condensed. Looking closely, it was Thunder Tribulation Lord. He looked at the void, and a flash of killing intent flashed away. How dare you have the idea of the supreme existence? If you dare to make a move, no matter who you are, this seat will make you have no way to return. Supreme existence, presumably this is a test you gave me, right? Don't worry. No one can touch a single hair on your body. Thunder Tribulation Lord stood in front of the door with a firm expression. Chapter 392. It was New Year's Eve. Sun Hao's residence, in the backyard. The soul-sinking divine wood quickly retracted its branches and turned into a normal tree. Beside the small tree, hundreds of tables filled the backyard. Thousands of cultivators sat in front of the table. These people were the people of the Evil Suppression Alliance headed by Luo Luyen. They were also the suicide squad that she had chosen. After cultivating in the Taiji Divine Tower these past few days, everyone's strength had improved by leaps and bounds. Although Xiao Chen's cultivation realm did not increase, after being tempered by the Taiji Divine Pagoda, every type of energy had grown terrifyingly. It was not a problem for him to challenge someone of a higher realm. Every table was filled with all kinds of dishes. Dragon meat hot pot, cured dragon meat, cabbage, braised tofu, the aroma of the dishes spread in all directions. Soon, it floated to the front yard and poured into the nose of the Thunder Tribulation Sovereign through the gate. After smelling it, the Thunder Tribulation Sovereign's stomach rumbled like thunder, and he swallowed his saliva from time to time. What's going on? Why is it that when you stand beside Senior No, young master, you are always hungry? I've already abstained from eating. I'm not greedy for worldly things. I shouldn't be hungry. Could it be that what young master eats isn't ordinary? Thinking of this, the Thunder Tribulation Sovereign felt an itch in his heart. He wanted to release his divine sense to investigate, but he didn't dare to. Test. I can't be disrespectful to the young master. Otherwise, I'll definitely lose my job. It wasn't easy to be able to follow by the side of a supreme being. How can I miss such an opportunity? Thunder Tribulation Sovereign thought to himself with a firm expression. Suddenly, he's here? He raised his eyebrows and looked into the void. Then, his figure slowly disappeared. In the backyard, everyone stood in place, holding their cups, looking in Sun Hao's direction. Worship, reverence, brimming with joy on everyone's face. Young Master, Happy New Year to you! Their voices resounded in the sky. Sun Hao looked at the pairs of fiery eyes with worship mixed with awe, and a touch of embarrassment appeared on his face. He had lived for decades. There had never been so many people wishing him a Happy New Year. No one came to wish him a Happy New Year. For a long time, he had been wishing others a Happy New Year. Who would have thought that he would reach such heights in just a short 20 years after arriving in this world? This was something unimaginable in the past. Thank you. Cheers, everyone. Cheers. Cheers and laughter rang out as they toasted to celebrate. As they ate and drank, the sky gradually darkened. The dark night enveloped the earth, and the world became cold. Sun Hao pointed to the sky, and 3 suns shot out from his fingertips. In the blink of an eye, it floated in midair. Dispel the darkness, let the light shine. Warmth spread throughout the world. The snow melted and the steam rose. It looked like a fairyland. All right. Everyone applauded and looked at Sun Hao with admiration. Sun Hao smiled and nodded. A trace of pain flashed across his pale face. He clutched his chest and frowned. What's going on? You can't even use 3 suns? I feel that the closer it is to the new year, the weaker I am. Also, that call is getting more and more intense. It feels like someone is shouting in my ear. Why is that? The more he thought about it, the more Sun Hao frowned. A wave of uneasiness surged in his heart. Young Master, are you okay? Huang Rumming stroked Sun Hao's face, full of worry. Rumming, I'm fine. Come, let's have a toast. Let's play poker later. All right, young master, cheers. After dinner, put away the table, put the poker cards, 4 people at a table, and began to play upgrade. Young master, I'll be with you. Huang Rumming sat directly opposite Sun Hao. Playing cards, eating melon seeds, chatting, time passed little by little. Getting closer and closer to Lingzisher, the 3 suns in the sky gradually dimmed. Sun Hao's face was pale, without any blood. His whole body was weak, and he couldn't breathe with a little movement. He looked like an old man in his 70s or 80s, dying. Young master, let me help you in to rest. Huang Rumming's face was full of worry. Okay. Saying one word felt like he was going to die. Young master, are you okay? Young master, what's wrong with you? Young master, you should take a break. Looking at the pairs of worried eyes, Sun Hao smiled slightly, indicating that he was fine. His whole body was supported by Huang Rumming and did not fall. With a glance, Huang Rumming immediately understood. Don't worry, everyone, the young master is just too tired and needs to rest for a while. Everyone eat and drink well. Looking at the back of Sun Hao and Huang Rumming, everyone's face was solemn and worried. How did the young master become like this? I have a bad hunch, it feels like something big is going to happen. No matter what, if anyone dares to touch the young master, I will definitely fight with him. Everyone muttered to themselves, and their faces were firm. One by one, their eyes swept around with a vigilant look. Leader Luo, do you feel it? The flower fairy walked to Luo Luyen with a dignified face. Luo Luyen nodded. A seemingly murderous intent is approaching, and this murderous intent is increasing with the passage of time. Who the hell is it? How dare you attack the young master? The flower fairy's fist exploded, and her anger soared. This person must have calculated everything and chose to attack when the young master is weak. Luo Luoyan said. What? The people around Luo Luoyan were all stunned. Someone like the young master would actually be weak. What should we do? Would they be able to resist it? Everyone, remember, even if you die, you can't let the young master be hurt in the slightest, do you understand? Luo Luoyan said. My life belongs to the young master. Without the young master, I would have died a long time ago. It's worth it to die for the young master. The flower fairy looked firm. Me too. Su Yiling's face was dignified, and her fists were clenched. Us too. Everyone stood up at the same time, revealing a fearless expression. Okay, everyone continue to eat and pretend that nothing happened. Call the immortal power together, and be ready to strike at any time. Remember all of it? A series of spiritual awareness transmissions poured into everyone's ears. Hearing this, everyone nodded in unison. After sitting down, they drank tea and chatted. Time passed by minute. The atmosphere in the whole sky was oppressive. The darkness was getting thicker and thicker. The darkness was so dark that one couldn't see. Their fingers seemed to annihilate everything. Come on, drink. Deep feelings, one gulp. If a man doesn't drink, he will walk in the world in vain. The darkness did not affect everyone's enthusiasm, and they continued to drink and play. That scene, it seemed that nothing had happened. Very soon. It was midnight. Kacha, a sound came from the sky. Who, a ray of light lit up in the sky. Everyone looked up, and their pupils contracted, and their faces showed surprise. Chapter 393. It was midnight. A new year had arrived. Sun Hao's head tilted, and he fainted instantly. His whole body trembled, and it was cold. On his body, a strand of frost formed. When Huang Ruming saw this scene, her face changed drastically. Young master, she hugged Sun Hao tightly, called on her immortal power, formed a flame, and surged all over Sun Hao's body. However, it didn't work much. On Sun Hao's body, more and more frost formed. Cold, so cold, in Sun Hao's mouth there was a murmur. Huang Ruming saw this scene and took off her clothes. Her whole body covered Sun Hao. Who, on her body, the flame rose, turning into a fire person, and clung tightly to Sun Hao outside. Kacha, a sound like thunder from the ninth heaven. Who, a ray of dazzling white light was so bright that people couldn't open their eyes. In the white light, a woman with white wings slowly descended. Finally, she stood over the great demon mountain and glanced at Sun Hao's residence expressionlessly. Suddenly, the white-winged woman picked up the cross sword and pointed it toward the sky. Buzz, the cross sword quickly lit up, and the light of destruction sprinkled all over the world. The terrifying power whistled in all directions, making people's scalp numb. Not good, that's the light of holy judgment, the exclamation just sounded. The flow of time on everyone slowed down, and all movements became extremely slow. Whoosh, the light of holy judgment aimed at Sun Hao and blasted down. Wherever it went, the space shattered inch by inch. The shock waves overlapped and hit all directions. Seeing that it was about to hit the main hall. At this time, whoosh, the sound of breaking through the air rang out. 10,000 branches rose from the backyard and whipped toward the sky. It was the soul-sinking divine wood that made the move. Boom, there was a loud noise. The power that imprisoned the time in all directions cracked in response. At this moment, everyone recovered. They gathered all the immortal power that had been accumulated in their hands, used their own unique skills, aimed at the light of holy judgment, and blasted it over. Boom! Boom! There was a continuous explosion. The shock wave, with the momentum of toppling mountains and overturning seas, spread in all directions in a ball shape. Wherever it went, space exploded and dust flew everywhere. It took a long time for the surroundings to calm down. Everyone's gazes were fixed on the white-winged lady. Fear and doubt were written all over their faces. Who is she? How did it grow wings? This is the winged race. One of the ancient races. What? Didn't the winged race perish? How could anyone still be alive? What is she doing here? Why did you attack young master? Cries of surprise could be heard continuously. While everyone was still in a daze, the white-winged woman moved again. There was a soft shout. The white-winged woman raised her cross blade again. Phew, the dazzling white light once again shone on the cross blade. This time, it was at least 10 times stronger than the last time. Was that attack just a test? Is this her true strength? Attention everyone, attack with everything you've got. An angry roar shook the sky. Everyone mobilized their immortal energy and poured it into their palms. Just as he was about to blast it towards the sky, Buzz, with a tremor, time and space seemed to have been sealed. It was as if a person's movements were frozen in place, unable to move. Even their consciousness had slowed down countless times. The ultimate skills that were released exploded in their hands one after another. Boom! Boom! It was like gorgeous fireworks. Everyone, like fairies scattering flowers, exploded in all directions. Finally, they fell heavily to the ground, motionless. Boom! Boom! Even the soul-sinking divine wood was fixed in place, unable to wave its branches again. The branches blocking the sky above the attic exploded into powder when they touched the light of holy judgment. The light of holy judgment, exuding the power to destroy everything, blasted toward Sun Hao at an extremely fast speed. No. Young master! Lu Luyen looked at this scene, and tears slipped out of her eyes unconsciously. She struggled frantically, but she exhausted her strength and couldn't break free. No, everyone could only stare blankly at the light of holy judgment blasting towards Sun Hao's residence, helpless, seeing that the light of holy judgment was about to blast to the attic. At this time, a figure instantly appeared over the attic. She was dressed in white, and her big black eyes spewed out angry flames. This person was Xue Mei. Dare to attack the young master? Humph! Xue Mei waved her right hand rapidly. A huge light and shadow talisman quickly condensed and formed above her head. Howl! 5 roars. 5 light and shadow beasts poured into the talisman. The talisman exploded into light and shadow. It formed a light and shadow behemoth standing proudly in the sky. This behemoth had a dragon head and a lion body. Flames of nothingness appeared all over its body, as if it could burn everything. Roar! The light and shadow behemoth looked up to the sky and roared out. It sucked hard. Phew! All the light of holy judgment was sucked into the mouth of the light and shadow behemoth. All around, calm was restored. At this moment, everyone recovered. They stared blankly at the light and shadow behemoth and Xue Mei. Their eyes were full of astonishment. Just now, Miss Xue Mei actually created a talisman in the void. This method is really terrifying. Amazing, the strength of this light and shadow Kirin. I'm afraid it has reached the realm of the 9th grade Immortal Emperor. It's safe now. In the sky. The white-winged woman looked at Xue Mei with a slightly startled expression. Buzz, the white-winged woman moved extremely quickly. With a wave of her right hand, 10 cross-shaped swords condensed in front of her and circled around her. In less than a moment, they fused together and formed a huge cross-shaped sword. The power of the huge sword, compared to before, was countless times more terrifying. Ah! The white-winged woman roared with all her might, her whole body trembling violently. Wisps of white light, from between the woman's eyebrows, rushed into the huge cross-shaped sword. Shocking power quickly condensed on the huge sword. Roar! The light and shadow behemoth let out an angry roar, leaped up, and pounced towards the white-winged woman. Humph! The woman snorted coldly, pointed with her right hand, and the huge cross-shaped sword, aimed at the light and shadow behemoth and stabbed down. Bang! The light and shadow behemoth clawed and slapped on the huge sword. Boom! There was an explosion, heaven and earth shook. Waves of air billowed, whistling wildly in all directions. The light and shadow behemoth and the huge sword collapsed into powder at the same time, disappearing without a trace. When the white-winged woman saw this scene, her expression changed slightly. A hint of anxiety flashed across her face. She looked at Xue Mei, who was continuing to draw talismans, and her killing intent soared. Swoosh! The white-winged woman flapped her wings and instantly disappeared. When she reappeared, she was already beside Xue Mei. She stretched out her claws, aimed at Xue Mei's neck, and clawed down. Boom! There was a loud noise. The white-winged woman's body flew upside down. She used a lot of strength to stabilize her body. She stood in midair, her face full of fear. On the white-winged woman's body, lightning flashed, constantly wandering on her body, making a sizzling sound. She looked ahead, frowning slightly. She saw. Not far from the white-winged woman, there was a rough-looking man standing there. This person was the Thunder Tribulation Lord. He looked at the white-winged woman, and a hint of killing intent flashed across his eyes. "This is not something you should care about," the white-winged woman said. The Thunder Tribulation Lord smiled coldly. "This seat is the young master's guard. With me here, don't even think about hurting the young master today." Chapter 394. Who is he? I haven't seen him before. He seems to be the guard that the young master recently received. Guard? Everyone was puzzled, and their eyes were all fixed on the Thunder Tribulation Lord. The white-winged woman also stared at the Thunder Tribulation Lord with an angry face. "Lei Aotian, you have to think about the consequences of stopping me." As soon as these words came out, there was an explosion below. Everyone's face was full of shock. How could they not have heard of the name Lei Aotian? What? He is Lei Aotian, then isn't he the Thunder Tribulation Lord? My God, the Thunder Tribulation Lord is the young master's guard? No way. Look at him, he seems very honored. Young master, what kind of existence are you? For a while, everyone couldn't calm down. The Thunder Tribulation Lord looked at the white-winged woman and smiled slightly. Consequences? Come on, I will take it all. Ha ha. The white-winged woman smiled coldly, her figure flickered, and instantly appeared in front of the Thunder Tribulation Lord. Boom, the explosions continued, and the air waves surged. The terrifying power swept in all directions. The entire Tianluo continent was trembling slightly. This battle lasted for a full quarter of an hour. Boom! There was a loud noise. The two bodies flew backward at the same time, and it took a lot of strength to stabilize their figures. The white-winged woman looked at the Thunder Tribulation Lord and frowned slightly. On her face, a touch of anxiety flashed. The white-winged woman roared. Gotcha! The sound of joints cracking came from her body. A pair of wings sprouted behind her back, growing bigger and bigger. In less than a moment, it turned from 2 wings to 4 wings. On her body, the white light flowed, looking dazzling. When the Thunder Tribulation Lord saw this scene, the corners of his mouth raised. Who doesn't know how to transform? Gotcha! On the Thunder Tribulation Lord's body, 2 arms and a head grew. All kinds of electric light, constantly lingering on the Thunder Tribulation Lord, burst out with soul-stirring power. On each of the 4 arms, there was a weapon shining with electric light. He looked awe-inspiring. Whoosh! The Thunder Tribulation Lord flashed and instantly appeared in front of the white-winged woman. Boom! Boom! The 2 of them clashed once more, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. The terrifying might made one's scalp go numb. Below them, Xue Mei's face was solemn as she waved her right hand continuously. Wisps of light flew out from her palm and entered the light talismans above her head. As time passed, light flowed rapidly on the talisman. Countless runes flew out from her fingertip. After a while, buzz, a series of tremors could be heard. 6 light shadow talismans were inscribed. It's finally done. The method that the young master taught me is really good. Xue Mei's face lit up. She glanced at the battle in the sky and smiled. Bang! With a thought, the 6 light and shadow talismans fused together and instantly exploded into light and shadow. Light and shadow rapidly condensed. After a while, roar! A 1,000-meter-tall Qilin materialized. He roared at the sky, his aura devouring the mountains and rivers. The silhouette of the Qilin found an opportunity and slammed its claw down on the white-winged woman. Boom! There was a loud noise. The white-winged woman staggered backward. His entire shoulder was torn apart. 2 wings were broken. Fresh blood dyed his body red. It was too horrible to look at. Damn it! The white-winged woman shouted softly, her face full of anxiety. She looked at where Sun Hao was, showing a ruthless look. In that case, all of you will die for me. This sound rang. Gulp! On the white-winged woman's body, blood surged. Behind her, 2 demonic wings grew. The other 2 white wings were also changing rapidly, turning into 2 demonic wings. Her whole body was blood-red. She seemed to be cast by magma, emitting a metallic luster. She looked like a 4-winged demon. Cold, bloodthirsty aura rushed out of her body, covering heaven and earth. Gotcha! The sound of joints rubbing kept ringing. The 4-winged demon's body grew rapidly, and in the blink of an eye, it turned into a giant monster with a height of 10,000 meters. At a glance, it made people tremble all over and break out in cold sweat. Buzz! Before the Thunder Tribulation Giant could react, the 4-winged demon took the lead. It stretched out its sharp claws and slapped at the silhouette of the Qilin. Woo! There was a sad cry. The silhouette of the Qilin was slapped into light and shadow, disappearing without a trace. Seeing this scene, the Thunder Tribulation Giant's face showed the most solemn look ever. Gotcha! The joints of the Thunder Tribulation Giant kept exploding. After a while, the Thunder Tribulation Giant turned into a 10,000-meter-tall giant with 4 heads and 8 arms. He looked at the 4-winged demon, raised his giant fist, and blasted at it. Boom! There was a loud noise. The terrifying shock wave whistled in all directions, shattering the space inch by inch. The 4-winged demon and the Thunder Tribulation Giant retreated at the same time, and it took a lot of time to stabilize their figures. Everyone looked at the 2 giants in the void, and they couldn't help but secretly wipe their cold sweat. This is too strong, their strength is definitely demigod. Fortunately, the Thunder Tribulation Lord is here. Everyone, pay attention, protect the young master. With that, everyone rushed into the sky and stood guard above the pavilion. Everyone's face showed a look of facing death. Boom! In the sky, the battle continued. The 4-winged demon and the Thunder Tribulation Lord fought back and forth, equally matched. On its face, there was a look of anxiety. The 4-winged demon roared loudly, "Lei Aotian, don't force me!" "Force you? This seat is going to kill you." The corner of the Thunder Tribulation Lord's mouth raised, waved the thunder hammer, and blasted it at the 4-winged demon. Boom! There was a loud noise. Countless electric lights quickly poured into the 4-winged demon. The 4-winged demon was electrocuted black, and its body was paralyzed. At the moment when it was stunned, boom! A thunder blade directly cut the 4-winged demon's body. After a few moves, the 4-winged demon was covered with scars. "Lei Aotian, you forced me to do this!" The 4-winged demon roared, and the blood in his body roared wildly. The whole momentum skyrocketed several times. Boom! The Thunder Tribulation Lord was shocked thousands of meters away by the terrifying power. Finally, boom! With a loud noise, the Thunder Tribulation Lord flew out quickly like a cannonball and disappeared. Taking advantage of this opportunity, on the body of the 4-winged demon, the blood surged, whistling all over his body. A sharp claw covered the sky, facing the direction of Sun Hao, and grabbed down. Above the sharp claws, exuding the momentum of tearing everything, making people's scalp numb. "Do it!" Luo Luyan shouted softly, taking everyone and soaring into the sky. Buzz! Thousands of rays of light, condensed together, formed a light and shadow shield covering the sky. However, boom, the light and shadow shield broke instantly. It couldn't stop the sharp claws at all. Boom, the bodies of Luo Luyen and others, like fairy scattered flowers, fell in all directions. Boom, boom, falling to the ground, exploding a piece of dust, life and death unknown. Buzz, the speed of the sharp claws did not decrease, aiming at Sun Hao's residence and slapping down. Chapter 395. He die. The face of the four-winged demon was full of a cold smile. It watched its claws fall with a proud face. Buzz, as the sharp claws approached, the hall where Sun Hao was seemed to be unable to withstand this kind of pressure and was trembling violently. Seeing that the claws were about to fall on the attic. At this time, presumptuous, there was a light shout. Thunder Tribulation Lord appeared in front of the four-winged demon again, and the thunder hammer in his hand smashed on the claws of the four-winged demon in an instant. In an instant, the claws of the four-winged demon were blasted away. Lay Outyan, since you want to die so much, this seat will fulfill your wish. The four-winged demon stretched out its claws and pressed it on the head of Thunder Tribulation Lord, pressing his whole body into the void. Then, it raised another claw and grabbed his head fiercely. Puff stab, the sound of metal piercing into flesh and blood rang out. Thunder Tribulation Lord's head was torn into powder. However, Thunder Tribulation Lord continued to wave the weapon in his hand and blasted it on the four-winged demon. Humph! The four-winged demon snorted coldly, and its claws were like sharp blades, attacking wildly. Less than a moment. Thunder Tribulation Lord's 8 arms were torn into powder. Only 3 heads were left, panting heavily. It seemed that they were seriously injured and had reached the verge of collapse. Lay Outyan, blame yourself for being nosy. There are some existences that you can't provoke. Die. The four-winged demon stretched out its claws, aimed at Thunder Tribulation Lord, and blasted it down. Seeing that it was about to tear Thunder Tribulation Lord into powder. At this time, the four-winged demon raised his eyebrows, and a wave of uneasiness surged all over his body. Not good, time is almost over. It reacted quickly retracted its claws, changed a direction, aimed at the attic where Sun Hao was, and blasted over. The sky was torn apart and there was a dazzling fire. With terrifying power, it quickly fell towards Sun Hao's location. There was a roar. A long rainbow quickly collided with the claws of the four-winged demon. This long rainbow was Xuemei. On her face, there was an extremely firm expression. However, boom! Before touching the claws, Xuemei's body was bounced away, unable to get close at all. Boom! Xuemei's body hit the ground, exploding a dust and vomiting blood. His head tilted to the side and he fainted. With another furious roar, the flower fairy turned into a rainbow and crashed into the sharp claws. However, the result was no different from Xuemei's. One figure after another soared up from the ground and collided with the sharp claws. Luo Luyen, Su Yiling, Zhongli Lang, Xianyuan Shi, Mu Bing one by one, without any hesitation, they charged towards the sky-covering claws without any regard for their lives. However, they were like moths flying into a flame, and the result was no different from flower fairies. Even the speed of the sharp claws did not change. A bunch of ants want to fight me? You're simply courting death. The four-winged demon's face was filled with a cold smile. Fortunately, I made it in time. My lord, there will be no accidents in this mission. The speed of the four-winged demon's claws increased. Bang! After the sky-covering sharp claws touched the hall, the entire hall was blown to smithereens as if it was made of shredded paper. Soon, the four-winged demon saw Sun Hao turned into an ice sculpture. Die! The sharp claws aimed at Sun Hao and grabbed down. The next second, the four-winged demon couldn't help but stagnate, and his face showed a look of disbelief. Only to see, under his claws, there was a woman who appeared out of nowhere. She was dressed in white, and on her delicate face, there was a look of determination. The two elf ears trembled slightly, and she seemed to be using all her strength. This person was Huang Rumeng. How can a guy who has just broken through to venerable immortal stop me? What? She is 10 kinds of great Tao? No, 100 kinds of great Tao? In this world there are still such geniuses. But, so what? The four-winged demon's mouth revealed a cold smile. Break for me! A soft shout. On the claws of the four-winged demon, the 7-colored divine essence flowed. The terrifying power instantly exploded several times. Deng deng, Huang Rumeng stepped back, and a trace of blood spilled from the corner of her mouth. She stood firm, supported herself hard, and did not retreat. Blocked. The four-winged demon's face showed a look of disbelief. An venerable immortal could block the attack of a demigod? How was this possible? Little guy, it's a bit interesting. If it weren't for the importance of this mission, I wouldn't be willing to kill you. I'm sorry. The four-winged demon's voice was cold. A howl resounded through heaven and earth. The 7-colored divine essence on the four-winged demon's body kept flowing, and it quickly gathered on the claws. When Huang Rumeng saw this scene, she looked at the four-winged demon, and then looked at Sun Hao. On her face, the corners of her mouth raised a happy smile. Young master, this life is over, and we will meet again in the next life. This time, let Rumeng protect you. After Huang Rumeng finished speaking, her body took a step up. The aura of the whole person skyrocketed. A wave of air shot out from her body. She held the claws of the four-winged demon and stepped toward the sky step by step. The whole body of the four-winged demon, as if being gently held by Huang Rumeng, could not move at all. When the four-winged demon saw this scene, his face changed drastically. You don't want to live, actually burning your soul to improve your realm. Your soul will definitely dissipate, and you can't be resurrected. The four-winged demon let out a roar. Huang Rumeng smiled slightly. To be able to stay with the young master for a year, this life is enough. Even so, you can't save him. The four-winged demon let out a light shout, and the blood on his body surged wildly. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped the four-winged demon. The 7-colored divine essence kept surging above the blood, bursting out a terrifying aura. The claws pressed down on Sun Hao again. The terrifying aura seemed to be able to destroy everything. Huang Rumeng looked at this scene and did not retreat. Without thinking about it, she raised her fist, gathered 100 kinds of great Tao into one, and blasted it at the four-winged demon's claws. Boom! There was a loud noise and the world shook. Huang Rumeng's body flew out like a kite with a broken string. In the corner of her eyes, 2 lines of tears slipped down. Young master, I'm sorry, Rumeng is useless, I can't protect you. She looked at Sun Hao's ice sculpture, and her face showed a touch of apology. At this time, Kacha, the sound of ice cracking rang out. On Huang Rumeng's face, the expression was startled, and soon there was a glimmer of light. The corners of her mouth rose, and she slowly closed her eyes, falling down. On the other side, the four-winged demon's body flew out uncontrollably and fell 100 miles away. It floated in the void, looking at where Sun Hao was, and its face was full of unwillingness. Time's up. Without any hesitation, the four-winged demon turned into an afterimage and flew into the void. However, before taking 2 steps, the four-winged demon was horrified to find that its body was fixed in place. If you come, then stay. At this time, a sound shook in the mind. Chapter 396. Young Master, goodbye. The corners of Huang Rumeng's mouth rose slightly. She closed her eyes and revealed a relieved expression. Her body was like a cannonball, rapidly falling to the ground. It looked like it was about to fall to the ground. At this moment, a figure quickly arrived and held Huang Rumeng in his arms. This person was Sun Hao. At this moment, Sun Hao did not look weak at all. Standing there, his aura surged, making others not dare to approach him. Sun Hao waved his right hand, and a breath of life rushed into Huang Ruming's body. The injuries on Huang Ruming's body recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, more than half of Huang Ruming's soul had already been burned away and was not far from death. Young master, cough cough, please stop. It's useless. Dreamlike soul has already dispersed. Don't waste your energy. Huang Ruming gently caressed Sun Hao's face and said, Ruming, why are you so silly? Sun Hao looked at Huang Ruming's face, and tears brewed in his eyes. Young master, you have protected Ruming for so long, to let Ruming guard you once. Ruming has no regrets in this life. Huang Ruming's breath was getting weaker and weaker, and the remaining soul would collapse at any time. No. Sun Hao shook his head and let out a heart-wrenching scream. Ruming, without you, what would I do in the future? Ruming, don't sleep, don't sleep. Sun Hao shouted. Young master, you're crying. Huang Ruming weakly raised her right hand and gently wiped the tears from Sun Hao's eyes. Her face was brimming with happiness. Young master, you cried for me. Ruming is so happy. Young master, there will be no dreamlike days in the future. You must live well. This world cannot do without you. Speaking of this, Huang Ruming pointed to Shui Mei, who had fallen to the ground. Young master, let her accompany you in the future. No. Sun Hao shook his head. She is not you. I only need you. Young master, I also want to stay by your side forever. Young master, please help me look after the demon Ancestor mountain. I really hope there's a next life. Huang Ruming stroked Sun Hao's face, gently and gently. She felt his body temperature and listened to his heartbeat. His eyes were filled with reluctance. Huang Ruming's hand slowly fell down. In the end, the soul completely collapsed, turning into wisps of light that scattered in all directions. No, a roar shook heaven and earth. Boundless turbulence roared in all directions. The heavens and earth seemed to be mourning for him. Get back here! An angry roar resounded through the 9 heavens. An invisible force enveloped all directions from Sun Hao's mouth. This power wrapped around Huang Ruming's shattered soul and slowly gathered together. Sun Hao's eyes were about to crack, and he roared with all his might. The veins on his body bulged, as if he was facing an endless resistance. Gather! A sky-shattering sound engulfed the surroundings. Kacha, the invisible force that hindered Sun Hao's movements, instantly collapsed. Huang Ruming's soul image quickly gathered in his hand and formed the image of a woman. Overall, she looked exactly the same as Huang Ruming. However, he looked demented and didn't seem to have any intelligence. Ruming, you can't die. Sun Hao gently held Huang Ruming's remnant soul and placed it in her body. Huang Ruming's eyebrows moved slightly, but in the end she still couldn't open them. A wisp of life force poured into Huang Ruming's body from Sun Hao's fingertips. However, Huang Ruming lay calmly in his arms and didn't respond at all. The vitality of the flesh was still there, but the soul had lost most of it, like a vegetable. Sun Hao's whole body was trembling slightly. In the messy emotions, he gradually calmed down. He didn't speak, and his body contained monstrous killing intent. With a wave of his right hand, the 4-winged demon's body flew uncontrollably in front of Sun Hao. Who sent you? Sun Hao asked. You don't want to know. As soon as the words fell. Boom! Boom! There were 4 explosions. The 4 wings of the 4-winged demon all burst into powder. A strange force ran wildly in the demon's body, and the pain made his body tremble violently. The screams lasted for a long time. The 4-winged demon fell in front of Sun Hao, and it was weak. In its eyes there was only a thick color of panic. Say it or not. Sun Hao's voice was cold. Don't even think about it. What do you want to do? The existence behind this seat is not something you can provoke. If you make a move, you will definitely end up dead. Stop, the words were not finished. Boom, the 4-winged demon's body exploded into powder. Sun Hao waved his right hand, and a strand of karma thread shuttled at his fingertips, merging with the four-winged demon's powder. After a while, Sun Hao looked at the east, and his eyes seemed to penetrate hundreds of millions of miles. His face was full of solemnity. Forbidden place? What the hell is in there? Can you calculate my weak moment and come to kill me? Don't worry, this hatred will not be so. Sun Hao looked at Huang rumming in his arms, and a touch of heartache flashed away. With a wave of his right hand, pieces of ice yuan power quickly condensed and formed. An ice crystal coffin appeared in front of Sun Hao. The power of life and ice yuan kept flowing above the coffin. Rumming, you sleep for a while. Sun Hao put Huang rumming in the ice crystal coffin and stood beside the coffin, motionless for a long time. Young master, I will help you. Young master, breakfast is ready. You should wash up quickly. Young master, as long as you don't find me annoying, I am willing to follow you and keep learning. Young master is amazing. Big lazy bug, get up. Scenes of the past emerged in his mind. The girl who had been with him day and night for a year became a vegetable. Later. No more. Can't hear her voice. Can't see her smile. Can't eat the food she cooked. Listen to her playing music and travel the universe with her. Such a good girl, for me, risked her life. I would rather it was me who died. Sun Hao stood there, letting the tears slide down his face. A man has tears, but not easily shed, just not to the sad point. There must be a way to gather her soul and wake her up. In Sun Hao's eyes there was a glimmer of hope. He slowly closed the lid of the coffin and withdrew his emotions. His eyes swept around, looking at the seriously injured and dying cultivators. His face showed a touch of apology. Everyone suffered such a serious injury for me. I, Sun Hao, will always remember this great kindness. After speaking, Sun Hao took out the ancient zither. Zheng, the sound of the zither sounded. At his fingertips, the seven-colored divine essence rushed down like a tsunami, enveloping everyone in an instant. On the body of the Thunder Tribulation Lord, the lost arm grew rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. The four heads were restored to their original state. Thunder Tribulation light shone all over his body, bursting out with soul-stirring power. I've recovered, I've actually recovered. The injuries on my body have not fallen at all. My physical body has actually become several times stronger, and the divine essence in my body has also increased several times. I am now a second-grade demigod? The young master is worthy of being a supreme existence, and his means are superb. The Thunder Tribulation Lord looked at Sun Hao, and his eyes were full of worship. His whole body trembled slightly with excitement, and it took a long time to calm down. Not far from him, Shui Mei sat cross-legged in place, looking excited. I actually reached the 5th grade Immortal Emperor. Not only the injury recovered, but also broke through 3 small realms in a row. The divine essence released by the young master seems to be several times stronger than before. The young master is also getting stronger. Shui Mei looked at Sun Hao, and the light of worship and gratitude was written all over her face. Afterward, she retracted her gaze and continued to devour the 7-colored divine essence around her. Such scenes were staged all around. Sun Hao looked at this scene and nodded slightly. Afterward, he looked at the mansion that had collapsed into powder and waved his right hand. Wisps of light condensed rapidly from his hand. Soon, it formed a light and shadow palace up to 100 meters high. The light and shadow palace slowly fell to the ground, forming a magnificent hall. It was magnificent and majestic. Chapter 397. Sigh. Looking at Huang rumming in the crystal coffin, everyone shook their heads and sighed. The Thunder Tribulation ruler walked to Sun Hao and knelt down. Young master, I am incompetent, please punish me. Lei, it's not your fault. Sun Hao helped the Thunder Tribulation ruler up and looked at Lu Yen and the others. Today, Thank you for buying time for me. Young master, you're too polite. Young master, we owe everything to you. Everyone cupped their fists. Sun Hao nodded slightly, looked at Huang Rumming in the crystal coffin, and asked, Little Lei, you are very knowledgeable. Tell me, does she still have hope? The Thunder Tribulation Sovereign looked at Huang Rumming and sighed slightly. Young master, Miss Rumming used the soul-burning technique. There is no possibility of survival. Suddenly, the Thunder Tribulation Dominus raised an eyebrow and looked at Huang Rumming with a gleam in his eyes. She still has a soul and a spirit. Speaking of this, the Thunder Tribulation ruler looked at Sun Hao. Young master, what's going on? It's like this, Sun Hao told her about the gathering of Huang Rumming's soul. When Sun Hao finished speaking, everyone present gasped and broke out in a cold sweat. Looking at Sun Hao was like looking at the master of the universe. A bright light flickered on his face. Why are you looking at me like this? Sun Hao asked. Young master. The Thunder Tribulation Lord heaved a long sigh of relief before he calmed down. If a person's soul is preserved after death, they will be sent to the river of reincarnation to be reincarnated. And there are some people whose souls shatter for some reason. They will be sent to the Nether River and recombine with other soul fragments there to form a new soul and reincarnate. Lady Rumming used the grand art of soul ignition, causing her soul to shatter. I believe all the soul fragments will be sent to the Xianming River. But young master, you actually used great dermic powers to lock Lady Rumming's soul and spirit. This is completely competing with the Xianming River. Your means are truly extraordinary. Speaking of this, the Thunder Tribulation Lord looked at Sun Hao, and the light of worship and awe kept sweeping over. At the same time, you should give Miss Ru Meng a glimmer of hope for resurrection. Thunder Tribulation Sovereign said. Hearing this, Sun Hao's hanging heart finally let go, and he breathed a sigh of relief. No wonder that power was so strong. Now that he thought about it, he felt a lingering fear. This was like snatching food from a tiger's mouth. If he were to suffer a backlash, his soul would definitely be torn apart by that power. Fortunately, finally, there was hope. Then how can I resurrect Rumming? Sun Hao asked. There's only one way to revive Lady Rumming. Go to the Xianming River and find her soul fragments. However, that place is extremely dangerous. Before Thunder Tribulation ruler finished speaking, Sun Hao immediately interrupted him. Where is the Xianming River? Young master, the Xianming River is in the Earth Realm. If you want to break through the barrier of the Earth Realm, you have to reach the Divine King Realm. Thunder Tribulation ruler said. God King. Sun Hao frowned with a thoughtful look. Although he was strong, he was only a demigod. Above the demigods were the gods. As for becoming a god king, he was still far from it. Young master, above the demigod is the divine spirit. Gods are also divided into ranks. They are lesser god, middle god, upper god, main god, supreme god, and finally god king. It is said that there are realms above the god king realm. However, that is not something we can comprehend. Sun Hao was stunned by the words of the Thunder Tribulation Lord. In this world, aren't there any gods? Sun Hao asked. Young master, just because there are no gods in the world doesn't mean that there are none. After the Dark Age, there are still some gods left, distributed all over the world. Those gods must be afraid, so they found a place to hide. Thunder Tribulation ruler said. Hearing this, Sun Hao's face showed a dispirited look. Is there no other way to break through the barrier of the Earth Realm? Young master, of course, there are other ways, and you can find a God King to help. Thunder Tribulation ruler said. Find a God King? Where to find one? Where to find one? Sun Hao asked. The God King generally lives in the upper realm, which is what we call the Heaven Realm. Thunder Tribulation ruler said. Heaven Realm? Sun Hao frowned slightly. This world was divided into 3 realms. Heaven Realm, Earth Realm, Human Realm. In addition, there were 3,000 small worlds. Like the Demon Ancestor Realm, Earth Dragon Realm, Dragon God Realm. These small worlds were attached to the existence of the three realms. Heaven Realm, that was where the real gods lived. However, after the Dark Age, wasn't the Heaven Realm destroyed? Is the Heavenly Realm still there? Sun Hao asked. Of course it is. After 1,000,000 years of recuperation, the Heavenly Realm has recovered its vitality. However, if you want to go to the Heaven Realm, you can only go there when the Heavenly Road opens once every 100 years. Furthermore, only when your strength reaches the Divine Spirit Realm will you be able to adapt to the laws of the Heaven Realm. Even if a demigod goes up there, there's basically no chance of survival, Thunder Tribulation Sovereign said. God. In other words, he had to become a god in order to have the chance to go to the Heaven Realm? Finding a suitable cultivation method for himself was the most important thing right now. However, could Ru Meng wait that long? Is there no other way? Have the dreamlike soul fragments all reincarnated? Sun Hao asked. Young master, the Xianming River needs a cycle of 60 years to recondense the soul fragment. As long as we can find Miss Ru Meng's soul fragment within this period of time, it will be fine, said the Thunder Tribulation Sovereign. A 60-year cycle was equivalent to 60 years. In that case, he still had time. When does the Heavenly Road open? Sun Hao asked. 10 more years. Lightning Tribulation Sovereign said. 10 years. That was not too late. Within these 10 years, he would find a suitable cultivation method for himself, and then go to the Heaven Realm to find the God King to help him break through the barrier of the Earth Realm. Sun Hao calmed his heart, looked at the Thunder Tribulation Sovereign, and continued to speak. Little Thunder, do you know what is in the Forbidden Land? As soon as these words came out, the Thunder Tribulation Sovereign's face changed slightly. It seemed that he had encountered some great horror, and his eyes swept around with a face of fear. Young master, that is a place that cannot be said. The Thunder Tribulation Sovereign lowered his voice and said, It is said that the Forbidden Land was suddenly formed in the Dark Age. Every planet of life has it, making people feel that it is like an eye monitoring the life of every planet. Those who enter there have never come out. Even the gods are no exception, Thunder Tribulation Sovereign said. Hearing this, Sun Hao took a breath of cold air, and a touch of fear appeared on his face. It could actually monitor the life of every planet, no wonder it could calculate the time of his weakness. Could it be that the Forbidden Land was the lackey of the Heavenly Tao? Or was there a terrifying existence in the Forbidden Land? Wasn't that the immortal Emperor Forbidden Land? How could even the gods not come out? In that case, wasn't it the gods' Forbidden Land? At this point, Sun Hao took a few breaths of cold air. Fortunately, he didn't get angry and run across the Forbidden Land to avenge Ru Meng. Otherwise, he wouldn't know how he died. The matter of revenge had to be considered in the long run, and he must not act recklessly. However, this Forbidden Land must be razed. Little Thunder, thank you. Sun Hao nodded slightly. Young master, I am the one who should thank you. After the Thunder Tribulation Sovereign finished speaking, he bowed deeply to Sun Hao again. Young master, can I follow you as a guard now? Yes. Sun Hao nodded slightly. Thank you, young master. The Thunder Tribulation Sovereign knelt down and did the 3 kneeling and 9 kowtows. Please get up. After speaking, Sun Hao stared at the Flower Fairy and said, Miss Xiaolan, I have something to ask you. Young master, please ask, as long as I know, I will definitely answer. The Flower Fairy stepped forward and said. Chapter 398. Miss Xiaolan, where can I get a god-level cultivation technique on Xiang Star? Sun Hao asked. The Flower Fairy bowed slightly. Young master, on Xiang Star, there are 3 places where you can get a god-level cultivation technique, namely, Buddha Kingdom, Emperor Burial Island, Spring of Sin? Listening to the introduction of the Flower Fairy, Sun Hao frowned slightly, revealing a thoughtful look. Emperor Burial Island was the burial place of the gods, and even immortal emperors couldn't come out. It was extremely dangerous inside. However, compared with the forbidden place, it was very safe. Spring of Sin was one of the 3,000 small worlds. During the dark and turbulent era, that small world was a battlefield, and many gods died inside. Although it was not as dangerous as Emperor Burial Island, it would take a lot of effort to find the entrance. The last place was the Tathagata Buddhist kingdom. He could summon Buddha by chanting, so it would be much easier to go to Buddha kingdom. I don't know if I can really see Buddha there? Sun Hao thought secretly, looked at the flower fairy, and asked, Miss Xiaolan, please introduce Buddha kingdom. Young master, Buddha kingdom is actually one of the 3,000 small worlds. No one knows what it's like inside, because those who went in never came out again. According to the historical records of immortal cultivation, in ancient times, several gods entered it, and there has been no news since then. The degree of danger inside is probably no less than that of Emperor Burial Island. The flower fairy said. Listening to this, Sun Hao frowned and thought. He had been comfortable for too long, and it was time to go out and explore. His ability to summon Buddha must have something to do with Buddha Kingdom. He would go to Buddha Kingdom first. If he couldn't find a suitable cultivation technique for himself, he would go to other places. Cosmic giant, mind calling, heavenly realm, earthly realm, all of this was like a huge mountain pressing down on him, making it difficult to breathe. To get a suitable cultivation technique for himself, he couldn't relax at all. Finding a suitable cultivation technique for himself must be done as soon as possible. Withdrawing his mood, Sun Hao looked at the crystal coffin with a reluctant face. He must take Rumming with him to feel at ease. However, the universe ring couldn't accommodate life, and he must condense his own soul space. Thinking like this, Sun Hao looked at the flower fairy and asked, Miss Xiaolan, do you know how to cultivate a soul space? Young master, cultivating a soul space requires. After the flower fairy's explanation, Sun Hao nodded secretly. Following the flower fairy's method, Zhang Xian formed a space with a thought. Sun Hao's mind came to this space. This space was boundless, as if it could contain anything. Is this my soul space? How can it be so big? Isn't it said that those who have just condensed a soul space of a few cubic meters are already monstrous? Could it be that Miss Xiaolan is wrong? Or am I a heaven-defying monster? Sun Hao was secretly surprised. It was said that condensing a soul space was very difficult. He did not expect that his soul space would take shape with just a thought. That is, suddenly, Sun Hao raised his eyebrows and looked at the center of the soul space, his face full of shock. With a thought, his consciousness body instantly arrived at the center. Before him was a 9-colored boulder, which was emitting a brilliant glow that filled the entire soul space. The size of the 9-colored round stone was incalculable. However, Sun Hao could confirm that this 9-colored round stone was the size of 10 million purple suns. It was an indescribable heavenly body. Such a huge celestial body was actually in his soul space. What was it? Why did he appear here? What was the use? Sun Hao's thoughts moved, and he used many secret techniques to scan the 9-colored round stone. He found that he could not see what it was even after exhausting all his methods. After a while, Sun Hao gave up. Forget it. His consciousness returned to his body, and with a wave of his right hand, the ice crystal coffin slowly flew up. Rumming, don't worry, I will resurrect you. Sun Hao's face showed a firm color. With a thought, the ice crystal disappeared in place and appeared in the soul space. Under Sun Hao's control, the ice crystal coffin stopped in front of the 9-colored round stone. The 9-colored light penetrated the ice crystal coffin and drilled into Huang Ruming's body. Sun Hao looked at Luo Luyan. Miss Luyan. Young master, what can I do for you? I need to go to the Buddha kingdom, and you will take care of this great monster mountain. I don't know what you think? Sun Hao asked. Young master, I will accompany you, Luo Luyan said. Young master, more people, more power, I will accompany you. The flower fairy said. Young master, I will accompany you. I still have some power. If you are not here, there will be no delicious food in the future. Luo Liuyan's fierce eyes swept over, Su Yiling lowered her head weakly, and her voice gradually weakened. Looking at these familiar figures, Sun Hao smiled slightly. I appreciate everyone's kindness. Everyone staying and working hard to cultivate is the right way. Luo Liuyan and the others looked gloomy and nodded together. Young master. Outside the door, Xianyuan Shi's voice came. Miss Xianyuan, what's wrong? Young master, someone outside the courtyard door asks to see you. Xianyuan Shi said. Someone asks to see you? Sun Hao frowned, and with a thought, his eyes instantly swept outside the courtyard and fell on 4 people. These 4 people, 1 woman and 3 men. The woman was dressed in black gauze, and on the hem of her skirt, there were black throwing knives shaped like willow leaf. Exquisite facial features without a trace of fault. There was a vertical red mark between her eyebrows. The whole person looked like a cheetah in the night, giving people a feeling of extreme danger. The man next to her had long blue hair, and his whole body was full of cold aura, making people afraid to approach. As for the 2 strong men behind the 2, they seemed to be followers. These 4 people were Han Xing and the others. Bring them in. A loud sound echoed between heaven and earth. Under the leadership of people, Han Xing and the others walked into the main hall together, their faces full of awe. Greetings, senior. Seeing Sun Hao, the black gauze woman took the lead to bow and salute. Don't be so polite, may I ask who you are? Sun Hao asked. Senior, my name is Qiansu, and he is Han Xing. After saying this, the face of the Thunder Retribution Lord was full of shock. He looked at Qiansu and Han Xing, and his eyes did not leave for a long time. Little Thunder, do you know them? Sun Hao looked at the Thunder Retribution Lord and asked. Young master, the names of Qiansu and Han Xing have spread throughout the ancient times. It is said that in the dark and turbulent times, they are superior gods with outstanding military exploit. I didn't expect to see them here. The face of the Thunder Retribution Lord was full of admiration. Hearing this, Sun Hao was secretly surprised. I actually saw superior gods? Qiansu and Han Xing listened to the words of the Thunder Retribution Lord, and their faces showed a touch of embarrassment. Little guy, that's all in the past. Now we have all fallen from the divine position, and we are only demigods at present. Speaking of this, Qiansu and Han Xing looked gloomy. Becoming a god could actually fall? I don't know what you came to me for. Sun Hao looked at the 2 and asked. Senior, we came. Han Xing stood up, and just said 2 words. He was glared at by Qiansu, and immediately shut his mouth and no longer spoke. Qiansu stepped forward, respectfully clasped her fists to Sun Hao, and then said. Chapter 399. Senior, we're here to deliver you a piece of big news. Qiansu looked around, wanting to say something but hesitating. Sun Hao smiled slightly. It's okay, we are all acquaintances, you can say it. Yes, senior. The 2 of us discovered the entrance to the Shadow Realm, Qiansu said. As soon as these words came out. What? The entrance to the Shadow Realm? The faces of Thunder Tribulation Sovereign and Shui Mei were filled with shock. The 2 of them stood there, unable to calm down for a long time. Sun Hao looked at the change in their expressions with a puzzled expression. Shadow Realm? Young master, the Shadow Realm is one of the 3,000 small worlds. It is said that during the Dark Age, the Shadow God of the Underworld took countless treasures to the Shadow Realm to prevent them from falling into the hands of the enemy. He never came out again. If my guess is correct, I'm sure that there will be many divine weapons in the Shadow Realm. There will also be countless divine-level cultivation method. However, in the last 1,000,000 years, no one has been able to find the entrance to the Shadow Realm. The words of the Thunder Tribulation Sovereign made Sun Hao very excited. Countless god-tier cultivation techniques. He believed that he would be able to find something suitable for himself. Then what was the point of going to Rulai's Buddhist kingdom? Is that so? Sun Hao looked at Qian Su and asked. Yes, senior. Qian Su nodded slightly. There are indeed countless treasures in the Shadow Realm, but it is extremely dangerous inside. That's the place closest to the Earth Realm. There are some places where spatial cracks appear. We have to be careful when we encounter them. Otherwise, we will be sent to the Earth Realm by these spatial cracks. At that time, it will be very troublesome. Qian Su said. Send him to the land? Wasn't this what he had been dreaming of? Sun Hao's eyes bloomed with a strange light. Finally, there was some good news. Resurrection was like a dream, and hope was endless. Not only did the Shadow Realm have cultivation techniques, but it also had spatial cracks. This was the only way to get to the Earth Realm. Where is the entrance to the Shadow Realm? Sun Hao asked. Senior, the entrance to the Shadow Realm is located in the Tianma Galaxy, the Big Dipper Galaxy, on the sky-splitting star, Qian Su said. Hearing this, the faces of the Thunder Tribulation ruler and Shui Mei were full of fear. Where is the astral-splitting star? Sun Hao frowned. He was completely clueless about which star field and which galaxy. He didn't even know which galaxy his purple sun star belonged to. Senior, the human world is divided into 9 regions. The Heavenly Horse Galaxy is managed by the human race. The Heavenly Horse Galaxy manages tens of thousands of galaxies. Each galaxy has thousands to tens of thousands of habitable planets. The Heavenly Spirit Galaxy is under the jurisdiction of the Heavenly Horse Galaxy. Qian Su said. Hearing this, Sun Hao was shocked. There were so many habitable planets, and each planet had hundreds of millions of lives. The number of living beings in the entire mortal world was probably unimaginable. Then do you know which galaxy Xiang star belongs to? Sun Hao asked. Senior, the purple sun star belongs to the Milky Way galaxy. Just like the Big Dipper galaxy, it belongs to the ungoverned galaxy, Qian Su said. Don't care. Sun Hao was puzzled. Young master, the territory of the human race is so big that it is unimaginable. How can the Cultivator Alliance manage it? In addition, the Milky Way galaxy is located far away and lacks energy. Therefore, the human clan Cultivator Alliance left it alone and let it run its own course. Some of the weaker Dragon Clan took a fancy to this place, so they stationed their troops here, and it became the Dragon Clan's territory. All the practitioners here are their source of food. However, their main force has been destroyed by you, young master, Qian Su said. Listening to this, Sun Hao understood something. He didn't expect that the ones he had killed were merely some weak and puny dragons. He was afraid that compared with the regular Dragon Clan, it was like a firefly and the sun. There was no comparison at all. What about the Heavenly Spirit Galaxy? Sun Hao asked. Senior, the Heavenly Spirit Galaxy is extremely chaotic, and there is no power to rule it. There are fish and dragons mixed together, there are cultivators of all races, and there are many wanted criminals. If they don't agree with each other, they will start killing. If ordinary cultivators go there, if they are not careful, they will be blown into powder by the aftermath. Moreover, the Heavenly Spirit Galaxy has the aura chi, which will subtly affect a person's mind, making them extremely violent. After staying for a long time, their temperament will change. Even the regular army of the Cultivator Alliance dare not enter it easily. Qian Su said. Listening to these introductions, Sun Hao nodded slightly. It seemed that the Heavenly Spirit Galaxy was a place without laws. Whoever had a big fist could dominate everything. This was nothing. What was terrible was that aura chi. It could affect a person's mind, which was indeed a bit scary. Tell me in detail about the Heavenly Spirit Galaxy, Sun Hao said. Yes, senior. Qian Su nodded and said one sentence at a time. The distribution of forces in the Heavenly Spirit Galaxy, experts, resources, Sun Hao listened carefully and did not interrupt her. It was not until Qian-su finished that Sun Hao said, "Thank you, Miss Qian-su. Senior, you are welcome." Qian-su nodded slightly and said, "However, when we found the entrance to the Shadow Realm on the Star Crack Star, there were many people on the Star Crack Star. If we go late, we will be discovered." Speaking of this, Qian-su bowed and saluted. "Senior, we have disturbed you for a long time, we will leave now." "Boss, we are not looking for—" "Shut up!" A soft shout. Han Xing immediately shut up, his face full of doubt, seeing that the two were about to walk out of the hall. "Wait!" Sun Hao shouted. Qian-su turned around and looked at Sun Hao. "Senior, do you have any other instructions?" "Miss Qian-su, what instructions?" "You have told me such important news, I am also ready to give you something." "What do you need? Just ask," Sun Hao said. Hearing this, Qian-su and Han Xing's eyebrows twitched, and their eyes flickered. If possible, of course, it was that kind of auspicious aura. However, how could they have the nerve to ask? "Senior, you are too polite. We came here with no other purpose, so we will leave now." Han Xing looked at Qian-su, his face full of resentment. That expression seemed to say, "Pretend, you really can pretend." Han Xing's face showed a pained expression. He opened his mouth, but was unable to speak. He had no choice but to follow behind Qian-su and leave without looking back. This time, Sun Hao did not ask them to stay. He looked at the backs of several people and nodded slightly. "Your kindness will be rewarded generously," Sun Hao murmured, keeping this matter in mind. Then, his eyes swept to everyone. "Everyone, I have something to do, so I will leave first. Young master." At this time, Xue Mei came forward. "Miss Xue Mei, what's wrong?" Looking at Xue Mei's appearance, Sun Hao couldn't help but think of Huang Rumeng, and his face was full of anxiety. "Young master, I have disturbed you for a long time, I must return to the clan first," Xue Mei said. "Do you think your strength is enough?" Sun Hao asked. "Young master, with your help, I am already a 5th grade Immortal Emperor, and I will soon break through to the 6th grade. Now, facing an 8th grade Immortal Emperor, I also have the power to fight. This level of strength in the Demon Clan ranks among the best," Xue Mei said. "Since you insist on leaving, then I will not hold you back. I will give you a gift." After speaking, Sun Hao waved his right hand. Chapter 400. Boss, I don't understand. Why didn't you ask Senior to join our team after seeing him? Han Xing looked at Qian-su with a face full of resentment. "You should use your brain more often." Qian-su's small lips curled up. She looked Han Xing up and down and shook her head. "You've lived for 1,000,000 years, but your mind is still like that of a child. How could we have the qualifications to invite a senior who could create a supreme blessed land just by writing a piece of calligraphy?" Qian-su asked. "Alright boss, you're right." Han Xing had a helpless look on his face. "However, why didn't you accept the gift that Senior wanted to give us? What else do you have to say? I don't have any ulterior motives." "Are you sure you don't care about those 7-colored lights?" Han Xing asked. "Of course I care." Qian-su sighed inwardly. "However, that kind of senior is temperamental." "What gift? Maybe he's just testing us. If we agree, we might be slapped to death by Senior. If Senior really wants to give me a gift, he will insist on giving me another gift after I reject him," Qian-su said. Hearing this, Han Xing secretly wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. "Boss, does this mean that Senior was really just testing us?" "That's right." Qian-su nodded. Hiss, Han Xing sucked in a breath of cold air. He looked like he had just survived a disaster. "Boss, it's all thanks to you," Han Xing said. "If you don't listen to me, you won't be able to survive," Qian-su said. "Boss, are we going to Star Fisher Star now?" Han Xing asked. "Of course." "Are you really going?" "I must go." Qian-su had a solemn look on her face. In the Shadow Realm, There are not only divine weapons and cultivation methods, but more importantly, the chi of the immemorial path. What? Immemorial Taoist energy? Boss, are you joking? Han Xing's face was filled with astonishment. Lower your voice. Don't let anyone hear you. Qian Su made a shushing gesture. Boss, I understand. Let's go, we must go. Han Xing said. All right. The four of them soared into the sky and disappeared in an instant. Not long after the four of them left. Phew, a transparent figure appeared in midair. If one did not look carefully, they would not be able to discover it. The figure's facial features could not be seen. Just by looking at the outline, one could tell that she was a woman. Mixed essence Taoist Qi, interesting. How can we not let more people know about such a good place? Speaking of this, the transparent woman looked in the direction of the great monster mountain. However, you still go slowly. Hee, a gloomy laugh echoed in the air for a long time before it dissipated. The transparent woman's figure gradually disappeared without a trace. Great Demon Mountain, in the main hall of Sun Hao's residence. The leaders of the Evil Suppression Alliance gathered around Luo Luoyan. Alliance leader Luo, the young master has gone to the Shadow Realm. We are not strong enough, and the young master will not let us follow. Sigh. Alliance Master Luo, I am ashamed that I am unable to share the young master's burden. Why don't we go help the young master? Hearing these words, Luo Luoyan shook her head slightly. She looked at the crowd with a solemn expression. Don't you understand what the young master means? Luo Luoyan asked. What does the young master mean? Understand? Alliance leader Luo, what did you comprehend this time? If you have something to say, just say it. Why did he have to beat around the bush? Master, doesn't young master mean to let us practice hard? Su Yiling scratched her head and asked. Luo Luoyan glanced at Su Yiling and smiled slightly. Alliance leader Luo, isn't that what the young master means? Flower Fairy asked. Of course not. Speaking of this, Luo Luoyan looked to the west and said cautiously, when the young master stood here, do you still remember his look? Of course. The young master looked melancholy at that time. Yes, the young master was very melancholy, and there seemed to be a trace of worry in the melancholy. So, the young master is worried about the Elysium? Could it be that the young master wants us to save the Elysium? Alliance leader Luo, you are really amazing, this perception is unmatched. Everyone looked at Luo Luoyan, and the light of worship was written all over their faces. Luo Luoyan smiled and shook her head. You are overpraising, you only guessed one right, not the other. The young master has a second meaning? Zhongli Lang asked. Yes. Luo Luoyan nodded and looked at the Flower Fairy. Elder Hua, do you remember the young master asked you about the Buddha kingdom? Of course, the young master wants the cultivation method inside. The Flower Fairy nodded. Yes. The young master said that he wants the cultivation method inside. However, for a person like the young master, I am afraid that the God-level cultivation method is also nothing in his eyes. Luo Luoyan said. Doesn't the young master care about the cultivation method? Cultivation method. Luo Luoyan smiled and shook her head with a look of certainty. Of course, the young master doesn't need it. The young master talks about the cultivation method, and the strength refers to the owner of the cultivation method. If I am not mistaken, I think the gods who entered the Buddha kingdom are probably not dead. The young master looks to the west, but he is actually worried about them. The Dark Age is coming again, and the gods are the main force. The young master must have calculated what will happen later, and he needs these gods to join the team to protect the world. Listening to Luo Luoyan's words, everyone's eyes widened, and their faces were suddenly enlightened. After a long time, they gradually calmed down. I didn't expect the young master to be so far-sighted. Alliance leader Luo, without your advice, how could we think of it? Alliance leader Luo, please give the order. Looking at the firm eyes, Luo Luoyan nodded slightly. This time, going to the Buddha kingdom is a disaster. I don't know everyone. Luo Luoyan wanted to say something but stopped. Alliance leader Luo, since we have already formed a death squad, we have nothing to fear. Yes, the young master gave us the young master, and helped us break through. How can we not repay such a great kindness? For the future of the human race, what's the harm in dying? Looking at these pairs of firm eyes, Luo Luoyan nodded slightly. Good. This time, going to the Buddha kingdom, the soldiers are quality, not quantity. Only those with strength above the immortal emperor can go. As for Elder Hua, the young master assigned you to stay and take care of it, and the task is more important. Tianluo continent, I will leave it to you, Luo Luoyan said. The flower fairy opened her mouth and finally nodded slightly. Good. Alliance leader Luo, when are we leaving? This matter should not be delayed. Immediately summon all the immortal emperors and set off with me, Luo Luoyan said. Yes. After a while, nearly 100 people stood in front of Luo Luoyan, with an expression of facing death. Are you all ready? Luo Luoyan asked. All right. Their voices sounded in unison. Follow me. Swish, hundreds of long rainbows, cutting through the sky, rushed to the Elysium. It wasn't until the figures of the crowd disappeared that the flower fairy retracted her gaze. Young master, don't worry, I will guard it well. The flower fairy had a firm look on her face. Chapter 401. South of Penglai continent in a mountain range. Phew, an old man suddenly appeared on a tree, holding a few feathers in his hand. This person was Ujizi. Compared to before, he had become much younger. Great, I finally got it. Now, I can hire someone to forge a middle-grade immortal artifact. Ujizi's eyes lit up, his face full of joy. Ever since he came here from the demon Ancestor mountain, good luck came one after another. He found many longevity immortal herbs and various treasures, and his lifespan was greatly increased. If this continued, it would not be a dream for him to return to his youth. Ujizi stroked his long gray beard with a proud expression. It's time to leave the mountain. After saying that, Ujizi's figure flickered and instantly disappeared. Not long after, he stood in front of a city, strode in quickly. Come and see, top-grade immortal herbs. If you miss this one, there won't be another. Fresh out of the oven, this is immortal beast meat filling. Walking on the street, shouts could be heard continuously. Ujizi licked his lips, looking rich and overbearing. It's time to eat something good. Arriving at a restaurant, Ujizi strode into it. Following the waiter into the hall, he found a seat and sat down. Sir, what would you like to order? Asked the waiter. A bottle of top-grade immortal wine, a bowl of immortal beast, a plate of peanut immortal rice. Ujizi ordered several dishes in a row. All right, please wait a moment, sir. The waiter quickly walked down. In less than a moment, the peanut immortal rice and immortal wine were served. Hua, pouring a small cup, he took a sip. Ujizi smacked his lips, closing his eyes to enjoy. Crunch, the peanut immortal rice filled his mouth with fragrance. After eating a few, he took a sip of immortal wine. This is the life of an immortal. If I can live like this every day in the future, this life will be enough. Ujizi murmured, looking satisfied. Sir, your immortal beast meat. Soon, a few dishes were served one after another. In half a year, it will be the immortal celebration. When I get a middle-grade immortal weapon, I will definitely get first place. Zhong Lizi, when that time comes, you won't be a match for me, right? Ujizi thought to himself as he picked up a piece of immortal beast meat and put it into his mouth. After chewing a few times, he swallowed it. Not long after. Grandpa, this is for you. Ujizi was happily eating the meat when a little girl's voice sounded. Turning his head, he saw a 3 or 4-year-old little girl standing in front of him. The little loli looked like she was carved from jade, like a porcelain doll. Her rosy face was very lovable. However, her untidy clothes were a stark contrast to her face. The little girl was holding a butterfly-painted candy in her hand. She passed it to Eugenie. Little kid, be good and eat. Grandpa will have meat to eat, Eugenie said. Looking at Eugenie gobbling down the meat, the little girl kept swallowing her saliva. Grandpa, can I have a piece of meat? The little loli asked weakly. Meat? Eugenie was stunned. He looked at the little girl and nodded. Thank you, Grandpa. The little Lolita sat down and began to grab the meat with her hands without hesitation. Use chopsticks. Grandpa, I don't know how to use chopsticks. You still need to learn how to use them. Before Eugenie could react, the few plates of meat on the table were all eaten by the little girl. Eugenie rubbed his eyes and revealed a look of disbelief. He looked at the little girl and then at the empty plates. A wave of heartache surged through his body. He thought that she was just an ordinary little girl. He did not expect that a Tautai would come. She actually came to eat and drink. Grandpa, do you have more? I'm hungry. The little girl rubbed her stomach and looked wronged. Little kid, where are your parents? Eugenie asked. Wah! The little girl's mouth turned crooked and she burst into tears. Her heartbroken look made him think that someone had hit her. Eugenie's expression changed slightly. He looked around. After realizing that no one was paying attention to them, he relaxed. Don't cry. Eugenie seemed to have realized that something was wrong. He turned around with a face full of doubt. He saw that everyone in the hall was frozen on the spot, as if they had been imprisoned. Did she do it? Did she freeze everyone with her tears? Thinking of this, Eugenie's scalp went numb. Regardless of whether the little girl cried or not, he stood up without thinking. He gently took a step and was ready to escape. Bang! The sound of something falling to the floor rang out. Eugenie's body trembled. He looked for the sound and his hair stood on end. He saw. The one who fell on the floor was the waiter. At this moment, the waiter's skin kept bulging up and down, as if there were countless insects drilling in it. Squeak! A strange sound rang out. A fiery red insect drilled out of the waiter's skin and flew in the air. Buzz! The sound of wings kept ringing. One by one, the fiery red insects flew up and floated in the air. The waiter's entire body instantly shriveled, leaving only a piece of clothing. Such a scene strongly stimulated Eugenie's nerve. Endless fear surged through his body. How could he not recognize these things? These were the soul-devouring insects recorded in the historical records of immortal cultivation. Wasn't this thing already extinct? How could it appear here? It's over, it's over. Buzz! Before Eugenie could react, the soul-devouring insects flew out of the other people's bodies and floated in the air, motionless. Eugenie stood in the same place, not daring to breathe. At this moment, the little girl next to him was crying nonstop. These soul-devouring insects didn't seem to notice the little girl. Could it be that she summoned these soul-devouring insects? Thinking of this, Eugenie's legs trembled and beads of sweat rolled down his forehead. He didn't expect that he had just obtained a treasure. Before he could finish his meal, he was targeted by such a peerless monster. Oh my God! Did I do something bad in my previous life? Why is my life so bitter? Eugenie's face was bitter and his scalp was numb. He slowly took a step forward and retreated, just 10 steps away from the little girl. Buzz! A sound like a bomber sounded. All the soul-devouring insects in the entire hall rushed toward Eugenie. Seeing this scene, Eugenie hurried back to his original position. The soul-devouring insects surrounded him a few steps away, motionless. It looked like they were waiting for some order. Senior Ancestor, I don't know how I have offended you. Please be magnanimous and spare my life. You're not full, I can be your chef, what do you think? Eugenie said carefully. However, the little girl acted as if she didn't hear it and continued to cry. Eugenie stood at the side, not daring to move. Suddenly, buzz! All the soul-devouring insects moved together and quickly flew out of the window. Looking out the window, Eugenie couldn't help but feel numb and cold sweat. He saw The sky above the small city was densely packed with soul-devouring insects. There were so many that it was impossible to count. It's over, the entire Xiang star is probably finished. Chapter 402. In the center of the Penglai continent there was a huge city called the Penglai Immortal City. This city was the center of the Penglai continent, and its area was tens of times larger than the central province Immortal City. It had a dense population of hundreds of millions. The degree of prosperity couldn't be described with words. On this day, two layers of ripples suddenly appeared in the sky above Penglai Deity City. Two figures walked out of the ripples and stood in the sky above Penglai Deity City. These two people were Sun Hao and Thunder Tribulation Ruler. Young Master, look, that's the planetary teleportation portal. The Thunder Tribulation Sovereign pointed to the north of Penglai Immortal City and said. Sun Hao's divine sense swept out and landed on the planet's teleportation array north of Penglai Immortal City. After a while, Sun Hao withdrew his gaze, and there was a trace of solemnity in his eyes. Young Master, what is it? The Lightning Tribulation Ruler asked. No, there is a problem with the teleportation array. It seems that the other side has failed. Sun Hao said. The Thunder Tribulation Dominator was startled, and a hint of surprise appeared on his face. Young Master, it was still fine when I came. Is there any other way to go to the Big Dipper Galaxy? Sun Hao asked. Other ways? The Thunder Tribulation Lord frowned, revealing a thoughtful look. Young Master, there are two ways to go to the Heavenly Dipper Galaxy. The first way is to take the interstellar teleportation portal. That would be the fastest. However, now that the planet's teleportation array is broken, we can only fly to the nearest life planet, Planet Black Moon, said Thunder Tribulation Dominator. How long will it take to fly to Planet Black Moon? Sun Hao asked. Young Master, at my full speed, it will take roughly 1,000 years. The Lightning Tribulation Sovereign said. Hearing this, a bunch of black lines appeared on Sun Hao's forehead. 1,000 years. At that time, could Rumling still be resurrected? What's the second way? Sun Hao asked. The second is to find a wormhole that leads to the Big Dipper Galaxy. However, this depends entirely on luck. Also, even if we find a wormhole and teleport to the Big Dipper Galaxy, we might be teleported to a place without a habitable planet. It might take hundreds or even tens of thousands of years to find a habitable planet, Thunder Tribulation Ruler said. Sun Hao opened his mouth but didn't say a word. It was as good as not saying anything. Even if he found a wormhole, he wouldn't dare to enter it. Nothing else? Sun Hao asked. The Thunder Tribulation Sovereign looked helpless and shook his head slightly. Young Master, you don't have to worry. Planet Black Moon is a very large life planet. There are countless experts on it. I'm sure the teleportation array will be repaired soon, Thunder Tribulation Sovereign said. Okay. Sun Hao nodded slightly. From the looks of it, they could only pin their hopes on Planet Black Moon. Let's go down first. Yes, young master. Not long after, Sun Hao stood on the streets of Penglai Immortal City, looking at the endless flow of people with a shocked expression. How could the world be so prosperous to such an extent? Withdrawing his gaze, Sun Hao walked straight into a tea-house with Thunder Tribulation Lord and found a corner to sit down. I didn't expect so many experts to come to our tiny purple sun planet. It seems like you are ill-informed. Could it be that our purple sun star produced some kind of treasure that made the other experts jealous? Haha, not bad. The treasure that appeared is a kind of immortal wine. It is said that this immortal wine was brewed by a demigod named Sun Hao. They definitely came here to obtain this immortal brew. What? Demigod? There is a demigod on our purple sun star? Look at you making a fuss. Obviously you haven't seen the world. Let me tell you, not long ago, many immortal emperors came and wanted to snatch young Master Sun Hao's divine weapon, but they returned in frustration. Young Master Sun Hao, but, in the tea-house, Sun Hao heard a lot of legends about himself. He was completely blown up by them into an omnipotent god. It would be great if he had such ability. Sun Hao smiled and shook his head, not taking these words seriously. Suddenly, woo-woo. Upstairs, in a private room, a woman's sobs came. This voice made people feel pity when they heard it. It attracted the attention of many men in the hall on the first floor. Which family's young lady is crying? That private room seems to belong to Miss Yang. What, Miss Yang? In this Penglai immortal city, who dares to bully Miss Yang? There is one person who dares. Who? Watch me knock out his front teeth. He dares to bully such a goddess, outrageous. Qin Yu. As soon as these words came out, the surrounding space was stagnant. The shouting brawny man opened his mouth and was powerless to speak. He found a place to sit down, shrugged his head, and wilted like a frosted eggplant. So, Miss Yang has confessed to Master Qin again? It seems so, but this Master Qin is young. Why doesn't he find a Tao companion? That's because you don't know his past. According to my inquiries, I learned a piece of amazing news. What news? Say it quickly, don't hide it. Master Qin is from the Tianluo continent. He used to love a girl named Fan Shui deeply. As a result, that guy was a female Tihor. After Master Qin lost the first sequence position, she immediately betrothed herself to a person named Qin Dongjun. When everyone heard this, they couldn't help but secretly clench their fists with anger on their faces. Damn it, there is such a bitch in this world. This is preposterous. Master Qin's heart has been hurt to this extent. Abandoned by the family, abandoned by the woman, this is simply... Waves of cries of injustice sounded constantly. What they don't know is that Master Qin received guidance from an expert. In fact, not only his strength broke through, but his alchemy is even more unmatched. On the night of the bitch's engagement, Master Qin showed his supreme magical power, purple qi from the east, and refined the supreme spirit pill. That was a slap in the face, that was really satisfying. Everyone listened to this, and their faces gradually eased. In their eyes, a strange light bloomed. What happened to the woman named Fan Shui? Naturally, no one dared to want her. I heard that Fan Shui lived in regret, and within a few months she died of depression. Great, this kind of bitch deserves to die. It's a pity that Master Qin doesn't believe in any love anymore. That's right. Otherwise, why would Miss Yang cry every day? Miss Yang's heart is also firm enough. Every time she cries, she will go to confess again. In the past few months, she has never stopped. Sun Hao listened to this and nodded secretly. Qin Yu, this guy, had an intersection with him. When he was in the West Prefecture Immortal City, when he was buying an immortal boat, he happened to meet Qin Yu. He invited him to dinner, and he gave him a painting and exchanged alchemy experiences with him. Who would have thought that in just a few short months, he would become the well-known Master Qin? Since he was an acquaintance, then naturally he had to meet him. Also, his brain was not enlightened at all. After losing love, he no longer believed in love? How could he be so stubborn? I also tell you a big news. What big news? Say it quickly. This news is, Sun Hao, who was about to get up, heard this and immediately sat down again. Chapter 403. This news is earth-shattering. I just received it yesterday. The news is that Deacon Wang Kai of the Cultivator Alliance has come to Penglai Immortal City. A green-haired man looked at the crowd and said. As soon as these words came out, everyone was dumbfounded. The expression on his face kept changing. Most of them didn't believe it. What? People from the Xiozha Alliance would come? Are you kidding me? Let's not talk about Purple Sun Star first. Just the Milky Way galaxy alone, the Xiozha Alliance will not send anyone here. Of course. Not to mention, they even sent out a deacon. This is simply unimaginable. Voices of disbelief kept ringing. Hearing this, the green-haired man smirked and continued to speak. Let me tell you, Deacon Wang Kai is not only a member of the Cultivator Alliance, but he is also an elder of the Alchemist Association. The green-haired man dropped another bomb. How is this possible? Why would an elder of the Alchemist Association come here? That kind of big shot can't even be invited with 100 million gold coins. How could he possibly come? Could it be that he's here to invite Grandmaster Qin to the Alchemist Association? No way. If Master Qin goes to the Alchemist Association, where are we going to buy immortal pills in the future? Many people had bitter expressions on their faces. Hearing this, the green-haired man smiled and shook his head. Wrong. That one word shocked everyone on the spot. The scene immediately quieted down. Let me tell you, Elder Wang is not here to invite Master Qin. I'm here to learn from Master Qin. As soon as these words came out, the surroundings became deathly silent. An elder of the Alchemists Association wants to learn from Grandmaster Qin? The dignified Alchemists Association controlled the entire human race's alchemy industry. Not to mention an elder, even a disciple would have an incomparably honorable status and be revered by countless people. Such a person would actually lower himself to come here? Could this be real? Let me tell you, this Elder Wang did not pass Grandmaster Qin's test. He can only become an in-name disciple. The green-haired man said. Everyone opened their mouths and mumbled for a long time without saying a word. That kind of shocked expression made it hard for him to speak. Instead of being an elder, he chose to be an outer disciple. Furthermore, he was only an in-name disciple of the Pill Refinery Hall. Is this true? Everyone stood rooted to the ground, unable to regain their senses for a long time. Let's go to the Pill Refinement Hall and see if Elder Wang is there. Let's go and see for ourselves. Only then will we know if what he said is true. Soon, many people stood up and walked out of the hall. Sun Hao raised the corner of his mouth and quietly joined the crowd. He never imagined that Qin Yu would grow to such a degree. Naturally, he had to go and meet him. Not long after, Sun Hao followed a group of people to a pavilion. The words Pill Refinement Hall were written on top of the pavilion. There was already a long line of people in front of the loft. As far as the eye could see, there was no end to it. These people were all here to buy elixirs. Sigh, why are there no more celestial medicines? This is too hard to buy, sigh. Grandmaster Qin's pills are really hard to come by. Many people surrounded them and quickly messed up the group. The entire scene was in chaos. Silence. A soft shout came from the Pill Refinement Hall. A white-robed man walked out from the Alchemy Hall. The pressure of the Celestial Emperor realm emanated from his body, spreading out in waves, sweeping towards the crowd. Everyone retreated, away from the Pill Refinement Hall. After standing firm, their faces showed a look of lingering fear. A disciple is an Celestial Emperor, so terrifying. Is he Wang Kai? This strength is too strong. He is not Xian Kai, but a disciple accepted by Grandmaster Qin half a month ago. He seems to be from another planet. The onlookers looked at the white-robed man, their eyes full of fear. Suddenly, everyone raised their eyebrows and looked at the entrance of the Pill Refinement Hall with a look of astonishment. They saw. At the entrance of the Pill Refinement Hall, there were still two people standing. These two people were Sun Hao and Thunder Tribulation Lord. The two of them stood in the same place with a calm expression on their faces. No way, facing the pressure of the Celestial Emperor, the two of them are actually fine? A mortal and an immortal venerable? Am I seeing things? Could it be that the Celestial Emperor pressure is fake? The white-robed man looked at Sun Hao and Thunder Tribulation Lord with a look of surprise. He stepped forward and slightly clasped his fists at Sun Hao and Thunder Tribulation Lord. You too, today's elixirs have been sold out. If you need them, please come back tomorrow. We are not here to buy elixirs. Thunder Tribulation Lord looked ordinary, but his voice was exceptionally rough. Then you? The white-robed man asked. We are here to find Qin Yu. Let him come out to see my young master. As soon as these words came out, the surrounding air was stagnant. Everyone stared at Sun Hao and Thunder Tribulation Lord, and the expressions on their faces changed. What was Grandmaster Qin's identity? You actually let Grandmaster Qin come out to see? Is it because of his noble status? No matter how noble it is, can it be higher than Elder Wang's status? These two little brats were really talking nonsense. Sun Hao listened to Thunder Tribulation Lord's words, and his expression was stagnant. This guy's words had become accustomed to it. This was obviously a provocation. Although he was not afraid, it was really not good to be pretentious like this. However, the words had been spoken, and there was no room for negotiation. The corner of the man's mouth twitched slightly, and his face was ugly. He stared at Thunder Tribulation Lord, and his eyes were like knives. What did you just say? Say it again. What? Are you deaf, or am I not speaking clearly? Thunder Tribulation Lord looked angry. An immortal emperor dared to ignore what he said? If it was before, he would have slapped him to death. In front of the young master, he really had no choice but to restrain his temper. You? It looks like you are here to pick a fight. In that case, let me see what you can do. As soon as the words fell, "Who?" the man in white flew backward and hit the ground heavily, vomiting blood. Such a scene directly scared everyone present in place. An immortal venerable sent an immortal emperor flying? And they didn't see how he did it? Why are there so many masters in this world? Are my eyes playing tricks on me? Oh God! Everyone muttered to themselves, and for a while they did not calm down. The man in white struggled to stand up, and his face was ugly. Who is behaving atrociously in my alchemy hall? Suddenly, a voice came from the alchemy hall. Immediately afterward, a middle-aged man in a purple robe walked out. Seeing this man in a purple robe, the man in white quickly ran over. Little junior brother, it's him. He wants our master to come and see him. The man in white pointed to Sun Hao and said, See him. The man in purple robe stared at Sun Hao and Wang Kai, and the expression on his face changed. You actually want my Wang Kai's master to come and see you? I'd like to see what ability you have. As soon as these words came out, there was dead silence all around. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the man in purple robe, and their faces were full of astonishment. That kind of shock and surprise was constantly intertwined on their faces. Chapter 404. What? Is he really Elder Wang? I actually saw Elder Wang? No way. Someone like Elder Wang really became Master Qin's apprentice? What do you know? Master Qin can refine the best immortal pill out of nothing. This kind of pill has no side effect. Elder Wang can become his apprentice, which is also a blessing. What? Master Qin can make pills out of nothing. Fake, right? What fake? I saw it with my own eyes. Oh my God! There is actually such a skill. If you can learn it, your future is boundless. Exclamations kept ringing out. For a while, it calmed down at all. Everyone's eyes were fixed on Wang Kai, envious. Wang Kai completely ignored these. His eyes were fixed on Thunder Tribulation Lord and Sun Hao. Then, he used various secret techniques and kept checking. After a while, Wang Kai withdrew the secret technique, showing a trace of solemnity on his face. Just now, he exhausted all his methods and couldn't check the strength of Sun Hao and Sun Hao. Thunder Tribulation Lord still looked like an immortal venerable. No matter how Sun Hao looked, there were no fluctuations of power, just immortal. Mortal, immortal, venerable? This is impossible. Could it be that I can't see the strength of the two? Wang Kai furrowed his brows as he fell into deep thought. However, you dare to be disrespectful to Master. Even if the Heavenly King is here, I will fight with you. Thinking like this, Wang Kai stepped forward. You too, are you really ready to pick a fight? Looking for what? Thunder Tribulation Lord was about to speak, but Sun Hao waved his hand and immediately closed his mouth. Sun Hao looked at Wang Kai and clasped his fists slightly. Hello, I think you misunderstood. We are here to find Qin Yu. Please tell him that an old friend is visiting. The words just fell. What? Someone pretends to be Master Qin's old friend again? It's really nothing new. There are several waves of people pretending to be Master Qin's old friend every day. People like Master Qin are studying pills. How can they have the time to see this kind of person? That's right, a mortal is also worthy of looking for Master Qin? There were accusations all around. Sun Hao was fine, and his expression was very calm. However, Thunder Tribulation Lord beside him was so angry that his face was red, and his expression was extremely ugly. I'm so angry. Dare to be so disrespectful to the young master. Trash, see if I don't destroy you all. Impudent. With a light shout, a wave of pressure swept out in all directions. Instantly, everyone shut their mouths, not daring to say another word. It was as if all the energy in his body had been sucked dry, leaving him powerless. They looked at the Thunder Tribulation Sovereign with fear. Thunder Tribulation Sovereign stood in front of Wang Kai and looked at him coldly. Did you hear what young master said? I'm sorry, master is currently researching medicinal pills. He doesn't have time to see you guys, Wang Kai said. Bullshit, hurry up and tell him to come out, or else I'll tear this place down. The Thunder Tribulation Sovereign roared. His voice was like thunder rolling out. These words were clearly heard by the onlookers. Their expressions kept changing as they watched this scene. But more than that, he was afraid. Many people slowly retreated, distancing themselves from the pill refinement hall to avoid being implicated. Hearing this, Wang Kai's face turned ashen. 2 streams of anger chi shot up from the soles of his feet and circled around his chest, as if it was about to explode. How dare you bully master like this? Today, I will fight you to the death. Since your excellency is picking a fight like this, then I won't be polite. This is not a place to fight. Let's go to the sky to practice? Wang Kai said. Let's practice then. Kid, I don't know how to control my strength. Don't blame me if you die. The Thunder Tribulation Sovereign said. Humph. Wang Kai snorted coldly, not afraid at all. The demigod realm aura on his body rushed out and swept in all directions, just as he was about to soar into the sky. What are you guys doing? At this time, a sound rang out. This sound immediately attracted everyone's attention. Wang Kai turned around to look and was shocked. He ran forward in 3 steps with a flattering face. Master, why did you come out? In front of Wang Kai stood a young man in a blue robe. Between his gestures, there was an indescribable nimbleness. That kind of aura that controlled everything made people feel awe at first sight. This young man was Qin Yu. He looked at Wang Kai, showing an annoyed look. Such a loud voice, how can I not come out? If I don't come out, the pill refinement hall will be demolished by you. What the hell is going on? Qin Yu asked. Master, it's him. They let you. Before the words were finished, Wang Kai looked stunned. He looked at Qin Yu with a puzzled face, only to see. Qin Yu's eyes were fixed on Sun Hao. His hands trembled slightly, and the tears in his eyes kept brewing. That expression was like seeing a relative who had disappeared for many years. Qin Yu quickly rushed to Sun Hao, first bowed deeply, and then knelt down, kowtowing in salute. Dong dong, Qin Yu hit the stone ground, making a thumping sound. Such a scene directly shocked everyone present to the point of stupefaction. That kind of shock, that kind of disbelief, was written on everyone's face. They opened their mouths wide, trembling up and down, and their eyes widened as if they were about to fall out. When have I seen Master Qin so respectful to people? What kind of person is worthy of Master Qin to kneel and kowtow like this? For a while, everyone's thoughts stagnated, and they couldn't understand at all. Master, please accept 3 kowtows from the disciple. Master, please accept 3 kowtows from the disciple. Master, I finally see you. The disciple thought you were not on Xiang's star. These voices, like meteors falling to the ground, blasted everyone's ears numb. That mortal, no, that young master is Master Qin's master? Master Qin was instructed by someone, could it be that young master? Oh my God! At this moment, everyone was stunned in place, full of disbelief. After a while, hiss, the sound of inhaling cold air came one after another. My ancestor, I was laughing at Master Qin's master just now. Oh my God, what have I done? How dare I laugh at such an ancestor-level character? Fortunately, no one is angry, otherwise, I will be blown out in one breath? I regret, if I didn't laugh at the big character just now, maybe I can be fated with such a character, this is a supreme good fortune. The sound of regret kept ringing. Sun Hao looked at Qin Yu and sighed for a while. Brother Qin, when have I ever been your master? Get up! Sun Hao helped Qin Yu up. Young master, in my mind, you are my master, and it will not change in my life. Please accept me as a disciple. After speaking, Qin Yu knelt on the ground again and kept kowtowing. It's not impossible to accept you as a disciple, as long as you meet my requirements. Sun Hao said. Yes, master. Young master. Qin Yu looked at Sun Hao, and in his eyes, a strange light bloomed. Young master, please come this way. Qin Yu made a please gesture. Okay. Sun Hao nodded and followed Qin Yu into the alchemy hall. Humph, the Thunder Tribulation Lord snorted coldly, looked at the stunned crowd, raised his head, and followed closely. Chapter 405. Wang Kai stood in place and didn't move for a long time. He looked at Sun Hao's back, and his whole body was trembling slightly. That mortal just now, no, that young master, turned out to be Master's master. So, he is the Grandmaster? Ancestor. I dare to stop the Grandmaster. Moreover, I have to fight with the Grandmaster? Was my brain kicked by a donkey? What should I do? It's over, it's over. It's impossible to become the official disciple of Master. Endless regret was written all over Wang Kai's face. What are you still doing? Come and greet the Grandmaster together. At this time, a voice shook in his mind. When Wang Kai heard it, his eyes bloomed with a strange light. Without thinking about it, he followed up. After a while, everyone came to a secret room deep underground. A stream of 5-colored immortal power poured in from the surrounding stone walls. It turned the entire secret room into a colorful cloud and mist, which was extremely beautiful. Sun Hao looked at this scene and nodded slightly. Okay, you can start. Yes, master. Qin Yu stood in the center of the secret room, closed his eyes, and released his whole mind. The 5-colored immortal light in the secret room quickly circled around him. These 5-colored immortal lights quickly piled up and compressed. Finally, it condensed into a thumb-sized medicinal pill. Above the medicinal pill, the 5-colored light kept wandering, making people's mind ripple. Making something out of nothing? Wang Kai looked at Qin Yu with admiration written all over his face. The feeling of admiration was like a surging river, flowing endlessly. In this world, there were only a few people who could compare with his master's alchemy skills. Although he was stupid and too old. However, as long as he worked hard and learned this creation out of nothing, in the future, it would be no problem to become an elder of the Cultivator Alliance and the vice president of the Alchemist Association. I must learn it. Wang Kai secretly clenched his fists with a firm face. So much immortal energy, just to refine a high-grade immortal pill? At this time, a sound awakened Wang Kai. Looking up, he saw the young master. No. The Grandmaster was pointing at his master and scolding him. What did I teach you in the beginning? Have you forgotten all about it? Go with the flow, and you will be successful when the conditions are ripe. You, on the other hand, are doing the opposite. You dare to give a pill like this to others? You have something on your mind. These words made his master's face turn red, and he lowered his head. Wang Kai didn't understand a single word. After concocting such an immortal pill, Why couldn't he give it to others to eat? In this world, who could do it? Why was it that such a good thing didn't catch the eye of Grandmaster at all? Sir, Qin Yu's chest tightened and he was left speechless. All right, I'll demonstrate once. Watch carefully. Sun Hao waved his right hand. Swish, array runes flew out from his hands and nailed into the stone wall like darts. In the blink of an eye, the entire secret room was filled with nails. These formation patterns were densely packed together and connected from end to end, making it impossible to distinguish them from one another. When the last formation pattern was carved, endless five-colored immortal light surged into the secret chamber. Seeing this scene, Wang Kai's mouth was agape, and he was so shocked that his jaw almost fell to the ground. My great-grandfather, Grandmaster, was an immortal array master. No, he was a supreme immortal array master. This array is really perfect, and I can't pick out a single flaw. All the immortal qi in the earth vein was completely extracted into this secret room. Staying here to cultivate is definitely thousands of times faster than outside. Wang Kai murmured, unable to calm down for a long time. Suddenly, he raised his eyebrows. Looking at Sun Hao, he was stunned again. He saw. The surrounding immortal light surrounded Sun Hao and slowly circled around. The five-colored immortal light rapidly compressed and piled up, and in less than a moment, it formed a transparent pill. Above the pill, the five-colored immortal light kept flowing, emitting an attractive luster. Supreme immortal pill? Qin Yu's group of apprentices stood in place, muttering for a long time without saying a word. No, this is not a supreme immortal pill. This is a semi-divine pill. My ancestor, Grandmaster, actually refined a semi-divine pill with his bare hands. There are at least 1,000 of them, right? Oh my God, am I dreaming? Wang Kai rubbed his eyes, a look of disbelief on his face. The Supreme Immortal Array Master had already shocked him enough. Now, he created something out of nothing, and he also refined 1,000 semi-divine pills. In this world, who could do it? Who in the entire Cultivator Alliance could compare with Grandmaster? If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it even if he was beaten to death. Do you understand? Sun Hao asked. Young Master, Qin Yu looked startled and was unable to speak. It's impossible to understand what you have in your heart. There are some things that have to be put down. You can't completely deny everything just because one thing is not going well. These words blasted into Qin Yu's mind like thunder. The shackles that locked Qin Yu collapsed at this moment. Qin Yu's eyes bloomed with a strange light, and he bowed deeply to Sun Hao. Young Master, I understand, Qin Yu said. Since you understand, then you come. Sun Hao said. Yes, young Master. Qin Yu stood in place and began to wave his right hand. Endless five-colored light flew over and poured into Qin Yu's side. After a while, dozens of transparent pills condensed and took shape. The five-colored light kept wandering in it, making people's mind ripple, and they wanted to take it for themselves. Wang Kai opened his mouth and didn't say a word for a long time. That kind of shock and surprise was indescribable in words. After taking countless breaths, Wang Kai felt a little better. He looked at Sun Hao, and the light of worship and awe was written all over his face. The Grandmaster's ability is simply earth-shattering, and no one can match it. With just one sentence, the Master broke through, and with a wave of his hand, he can refine dozens of supreme immortal pills. Although it's far from Grandmaster, as long as I practice more, I will catch up with Grandmaster one day, right? Wang Kai muttered to himself. His heart was turbulent, and he couldn't calm down at all. Master, what do you think? Qin Yu asked. Not bad, you can be my disciple. Sun Hao nodded slightly. As soon as these words came out, Qin Yu's face showed infinite joy. Without thinking about it, he knelt down. The disciple greets the Master. A glance swept over. Suddenly, his 10 disciples knelt down one after another. The disciple greets the Grandmaster. The neat voice resounded throughout the secret room. After 3 kneels and 9 kowtows, everyone stood up. Are you all Qin Yu's disciples? Sun Hao's eyes were like an eagle, staring at the 10 people. With this stare, the 10 people trembled and hurriedly lowered their heads. Yes, Grandmaster. The 10 people nodded in unison. If you enter my sect, there can be no waste. If your talent is not enough, you will make up for it with diligence. What your master did just now, you must do it within a month, otherwise withdraw on your own. Sun Hao's voice, like thunder from the 9th heaven, blasted the 10 people into a cold sweat, and their faces were bitter. Everyone looked at Qin Yu, showing a look of asking for help. Don't look at me like that. No one can disobey the words of the Grandmaster. Do you understand? Qin Yu gave them a hard stab. Yes, Grandmaster. Yes, Master. The 10 people clasped their fists and saluted together. You come here. Sun Hao pointed to Wang Kai and said. Wang Kai's body trembled, and fine beads of sweat overflowed on his forehead. His whole heart seemed to jump out of his throat, and he was extremely uncomfortable. Grandmaster wouldn't want to expel me, right? God, what should I do? Wang Kai's face was bitter, and he braced himself to walk to Sun Hao. P.S. The update has returned to normal. Everyone vote a few monthly votes to encourage it. Chapter 406. Grandmaster, what can I do for you? Wang Kai asked. You did a good job today. Sun Hao patted Wang Kai and said. Huh. Wang Kai looked stunned, thinking that he had heard wrong. Blocking the Grandmaster and committing a great crime, wouldn't the Grandmaster drive him out of the alchemy hall? Grandmaster, I'm sorry, disciple offended you today, please punish me. Wang Kai said. The so-called ignorant are not guilty. You haven't seen me, what's the crime? Today you did not do anything wrong. Master studied medicinal pills, and you sacrificed your lives to protect him. You did a good job. I have some gifts for you. After speaking, Sun Hao waved his right hand. Pieces of tea flew out of his hand and floated in front of the 10 people. Seeing these tea leaves, Wang Kai and the others were shocked. This is all enlightenment tea? Isn't this too much? Is this for us, Grandmaster? For a while, they couldn't calm down. He gave enlightenment tea with a wave of his hand, and they were all given in thousands of pieces. Ancestor, this is a dream, right? Don't be stunned, these things will improve your talent. I hope there is no waste in my sect. Sun Hao's voice awakened the 10 people. Yes, Grandmaster. The 10 people cupped their fists together and saluted respectfully. Okay, you go down first, I still have something to say to your master. Yes, Grandmaster. The 10 people retreated in turn, their faces showing uncontrollable surprise. Buzz, when the door of the secret room closed, Qin Yu walked forward. Master, your great kindness, Qin Yu can't repay it in his life. Let me stay by your side and do something for you. Qin Yu said. No, Sun Hao smiled and shook his head. You have more important things to do. I hope you can carry forward the art of refining medicinal pills. Sun Hao said. Master, I understand. Qin Yu nodded heavily. By the way, what about Master's wife? Sun Hao sighed softly and told him about Huang Rumeng becoming a vegetable. Hearing this, Qin Yu's face showed regret and his fists clenched. Master, this disciple is incompetent and can't share Master's worries. Qin Yu said. Don't worry. As long as I go to the Shadow Realm, I should be able to enter the Land Realm and revive. But you still have to work harder. Sun Hao said. Honorable Master, don't worry, I will. Qin Yu nodded. Keeping you here is to give you a present. Listen up. Sun Hao took out the guqin and began to play. Clang, the sound of the zither rang out. Like a gurgling stream, silently moisturizing everything. Like a violent storm, leaves were torn off and branches were broken. Wisps of 7-colored divine essence surged out from Sun Hao's fingertips and flew onto Qin Yu's body, circling around him. After this divine essence drilled into his body, it quickly transformed his strength. Clang, as the sound of the zither rang out, more and more seven-colored divine energy gathered. It was as thick as a mist, covering his eyes. For a moment, the entire secret room was seven-colored divine essence. The Thunder Tribulation Sovereign stood next to him, his eyes shining with a strange light. He wanted to move, but he didn't dare to. He can't absorb it alone. You should absorb it too. At this moment, a sound rang in his ears. Hearing this, the Thunder Tribulation Lord cupped his fists and bowed. Then, he sat cross-legged on the ground, opened his mouth, and started swallowing. Gotcha! In less than a moment, the realm membrane on the Thunder Tribulation Sovereign's body shattered, and he became a third-grade demigod. The young master has become stronger again. It's only been a few breaths and I broke through. Such rich divine essence, I've never seen it before. If this goes on, I will definitely become a ninth-grade demigod. The Thunder Tribulation Sovereign looked excited. He calmed down and continued to absorb the seven-colored divine essence. Buzz Sun Hao's soul space vibrated. With a sweep of his mind, he found that it was Blood Wolf and Ancient Ripping Space that made the vibration. These two guys were thinking about coming out. Come out! Sun Hao's mind moved and summoned the two of them out. Ancient Ripping Space opened his mouth and began to devour the seven-colored divine essence. Blood Wolf also learned from Ancient Ripping Space and began to devour frantically. The seven-colored divine essence was quickly absorbed by them. However, Sun Hao could produce countless seven-colored divine essence with a flick of his finger. Couldn't be absorbed at all for a while. Penglai Immortal City. Everyone gathered in front of the alchemy hall. For a while, they couldn't calm down. Many people secretly wiped their cold sweat with awe on their faces. It really scared me to death. Yeah, it's too scary. Just now, purple chi came from the east, and now there's a seven-colored auspicious sign. This phenomenon is continuous, all pouring into the alchemy hall. It seems that Master Qin's master is by no means an ordinary person. Isn't that nonsense? Seven-colored auspicious sign, this kind of phenomenon, you have lived for so long, how many times have you seen it? Today is the first time. It's really an eye-opener. The entire Penglai Immortal City burst into pieces. Those who didn't know, after a little inquiry, knew that these phenomena were made by Sun Hao. In a luxurious mansion, a middle-aged man sat in the position of the mansion master and shouted, "Quick, quick, take out the immortal divine medicine in the innermost part of the treasure house for me." A woman looked in a hurry, ran over quickly, stood in front of the middle-aged man, and said, "Master, isn't that immortal divine medicine used for you to refine her body?" Woman's foolish opinion, such a peerless character is coming. I must go and greet him. Am I going empty-handed? The middle-aged man said, "Master, you can go and greet him. Why do you still want to take the immortal divine medicine?" The woman asked. That kind of character, apart from the immortal divine medicine, can he see anything else? This. The woman opened her mouth, unable to speak. Don't say any more. After saying that, the middle-aged man put away the immortal divine medicine, walked out of the pavilion, and left quickly. In another mansion's treasure house, a long-bearded old man swept his eyes around, and finally stared at a long sword. "Hey, this supreme immortal weapon, I don't know if that character will take a fancy to it." The long-bearded old man held the sword in his hand, and looked up and down. Penglai Immortal City actually has such a character. If I can get to know him, maybe I can get supreme good fortune. I really hope that such a character will take a fancy to my immortal weapon. The long-bearded old man muttered to himself. Holding the long sword in his hand, his figure flashed, and instantly disappeared. And such scenes appeared in the entire Penglai Immortal City. The stronger the force, the more prepared they were. In front of the alchemy hall, more and more people gathered. In the sky, on the ground, on the eaves, in the attic, as long as they could see the alchemy hall, there were heads crowding there. The cultivators who couldn't see it with their own eyes released their divine senses and swept above the alchemy hall's attic. At this moment, the attic where Sun Hao was located became the focus of attention of hundreds of millions of people. Everyone looked at the entrance of the alchemy hall, waiting for Sun Hao to come out. Time passed little by little. Soon, from noon to afternoon and then to evening. Time did not consume their enthusiasm. On the contrary, more and more people gathered. Many people were powerhouses from other planets. There were many immortal venerables and immortal kings. These people's faces were full of awe. Chapter 407. Time flew, and a few days passed in the blink of an eye. More and more cultivators gathered around the pill refinery hall. Their eyes were fixed on the entrance of the pill refinery hall. From the looks of it, they looked just like wooden sculptures. Suddenly, boom, a dull rumble came from afar, causing the entire Punglai immortal city to buzz and tremble. What happened? That direction seems to be the city lord's mansion. Something happened to the city lord? Let's go and take a look. Many people rushed toward the city lord's mansion. There were fewer and fewer people waiting in their original spots. In a short while, there were only a few left. Around the city lord's mansion, it was densely packed with cultivators. They looked at the city lord's mansion with a myriad of expressions. They saw. The city lord's mansion had been blown to dust, blocking everyone's sight. When the dust settled, everyone looked at the sky in shock. That's the city lord. How did he get captured? Who is he? Why did he capture the city lord? In the sky, a purple-robed man stood there. He glanced at the onlookers with a fierce and violent gaze. The onlookers took 2 steps back with fear on their faces. Celestial Emperor? What a violent aura! It's terrifying. He's Zhong Lixiao from the Blood Wolf Star. The onlookers looked at the purple-robed man and exclaimed. The purple-robed man was none other than Zhong Lixiao. He was also Zhong Lijingtian's father. Zhong Lijingtian was holding Zhong Li. Tell me, where is the murderer? Zhong Lixiao looked at Zhong Li and asked. Zhong Li smirked, and blood flowed out of his mouth. Zhong Lixiao, you can't afford to offend someone like him. Wrong answer. Zhong Lixiao gave Zhong Liqui a backhand slap, causing him to feel dizzy. Puff, his teeth were mixed with blood as he spat out his mouth. His entire face was swollen, and he looked extremely miserable. Are you going to tell me or not? Zhong Lixiao's voice was cold, and killing intent was written all over his face. Just kill me. I won't tell you anyway. Zhong Li closed his eyes and quietly waited for his death. You want to die? It's not that easy. Zhong Lixiao looked around. Soon, whoosh, one figure after another flew over. Standing in the sky, in 2 rows. One row was kneeling, while the other row was standing behind the kneelers. These people were all youths. That young and tender face was full of tears. Old Ancestor, help, help! I don't want to die. I'm not married yet. Woo! Old Ancestor, please save me. Hearing these voices, Zhong Lizi's body trembled. Raising his head, his eyes narrowed, and his face warped in shock. You! He stared at Zhong Lixiao and muttered to himself for a long time without uttering a single word. Zhong Yitzi, are you surprised? These are the bloodline children you sent to the various planets. You and I are family. Tell me where the murderer is and I will spare their lives. Zhong Lixiao pointed at the group of youths and spoke. Zhong Lizi's expression kept changing, and it was incomparably unsightly. In the end, he clenched his teeth and tears streamed down his face. He turned his head and said, Children, this old ancestor has let you down. Not long after. He turned around, looked at the crowd of youths, and roared, Silence. This sound jolted all the youths to their spots, and they stopped crying. There are no cowards in the Zhong family. Even if we die, we will never wag our tails and beg for mercy. Zhongli Shao has committed all kinds of crimes. How can we take his words seriously? You guys go first. I will accompany you later. Zhong Lizi's voice was faint, but it was clearly heard by all the youths. These youths stopped crying and took a few deep breaths to suppress their trembling bodies. Zhong Lizi, it seems like you're not going to tell me? Zhong Li Zhao's voice was cold. Don't even think about it, Zhong Lizi said. Then, watch carefully. Zhong Li Shao restrained Zhong Lizi and sealed his eyelids. Zhong Lizi could not move and could only watch everything in front of him. Begin. Zhong Li Shao waved his right hand. Swoosh, the saber fell, and a head flew into the sky. Blood splattered on the other youths' faces. Instantly, woo-ah cries pierced through the sky. Zhong Lizi's eyes were filled with tears, and he looked sorrowful. Are you going to tell me or not? Don't even think about it. Whoosh, the saber light flashed, and another head fell to the ground. Zhong Li Shao asked Zhong Lizi for every sentence he spoke, and then he chopped off a youth's head. Not long after, hundreds of youths were left with nearly 100. The expressions on the faces of the onlookers kept changing as they watched the scene unfold. Killing someone so brazenly in broad daylight under the bright sky. He's simply too arrogant. Why is such a ruthless person here? Damn it, he's killing innocent people. Angry voices kept ringing. Alright. An immortal venerable soared into the sky and stood in front of Zhong Li Shao. Zhong Li Shao, you've killed so many. That's enough. They're innocent. Venerable Xiao said. Are you educating me? Zhong Li Shao grabbed with a backhand. Buzz, a blood-red claw quickly formed. It pierced through Venerable Xiao's body in an instant and dug out his heart. Immediately after, bang, with a soft sound, the heart directly exploded into powder. The immortal Venerable pointed at Zhong Li Shao and opened his mouth, but he did not say a word before he fell. He fell to the ground and turned into meat paste. If you don't have this ability, don't come out. If you're not afraid of death, just come. The voice was not loud, but it was full of momentum. Zhong Li Zhao's gaze swept. The crowd of cultivators lowered their heads and did not dare to look at him. Seeing this scene, Zhong Li Shao nodded slightly and continued to look at Zhong Lizi. He said, Are you going to say it or not? At this moment. Are you looking for me? A voice came from the void and echoed between heaven and earth. Two figures appeared in front of Zhong Li Shao in an instant and looked at him coldly. These two people were Sun Hao and the Thunder Tribulation Sovereign. It's him. Soon, someone recognized Sun Hao. It's Master Qin. Great, such a peerless powerhouse is here. Those youths will be saved. I didn't expect to see Senior here. It's so lucky. The whole scene exploded in an instant. Everyone had an excited look on their faces. Young Master? Zhong Lizi was also startled, and his eyes flickered. Zhong Li Shao looked at Sun Hao, and his expression changed. A mortal and an immortal venerable? Are they the murderers who killed Tian'er? If that's really the case, I'll skin you alive and break your bones. Zhong Li Shao thought hatefully and stared at Sun Hao. Who are you? Did you guys kill Jing Tian? Hearing this, Sun Hao instantly understood. It seemed that this person was Zhong Li Jing Tian's father, Zhong Li Shao. Sure enough, like father, like son. Killing innocent people indiscriminately seemed to be taught by Zhong Li Shao. Yes. Sun Hao nodded slightly and stood there calmly. You! Zhong Li Zhao's eyes were blood-red, staring at Sun Hao. The killing intent on his body surged all over his body. Without any hesitation, he took out a long knife and slashed at Sun Hao. Buzz, the air was distorted and the waves of air shook. The shock wave spread outward with the momentum of toppling mountains and overturning seas. Wherever it went, the space was shattered inch by inch. Seeing this scene, the faces of the cultivators changed drastically, and they secretly thought that it was not good. Seeing that these shock waves were about to hit those youths. At this time, the Thunder Tribulation Sovereign stood up and snapped his fingers. Ding! A wisp of electric light jumped out of his fingertips and instantly exploded. The power of Zhong Li Xiao waving the big knife immediately disintegrated. At the same time, "Gotcha!" the sound of glass cracking rang out. The big knife in Zhong Li Xiao's hand cracked little by little, all bursting into powder. The electric light did not stop and blasted Zhong Li Xiao in an instant. Boom! There was a loud noise and the world shook. Zhong Li Xiao's body staggered straight back, and it took a lot of strength to stabilize his figure. Puff! A mouthful of blood spat out from Zhong Li Xiao's mouth. He looked at the Thunder Tribulation Sovereign with a face full of fear. Chapter 408. Destroy him for me! Zhong Li Xiao pointed to the Thunder Tribulation Lord and shouted. The thousands of subordinates standing next to Zhong Li Xiao moved in unison as soon as he shouted. They each used their unique skills and went straight to the Thunder Tribulation Lord. Whoosh! Thousands of rays of light illuminated the entire world. The terrifying power formed a shock wave that hit all directions. The space was distorted rapidly and the world seemed to collapse. When Sun Hao saw this scene, his killing intent rose. In the city, he directly used a big move, not caring about the life and death of others. What was the use of keeping this kind of person? Destroy them! Sun Hao shouted softly. Yes, young master. The corner of the Thunder Tribulation Lord's mouth raised a cold smile, and his right hand grabbed. Buzz! The world shook and a lightning ball exploded in his hand. Boom! There was a loud noise. Countless electric lights surged in all directions and went straight to thousands of people. Puff! The unique skills they released were all extinguished after touching the lightning. All the power suddenly dissipated in place. This, impossible! How could this be? In the moment when they were stunned, the lightning came quickly and exploded on them. Boom! Boom! The sound of explosions kept ringing. The people who attacked all exploded into dust. The whole scene instantly returned to calm. The onlookers stared blankly at this scene, unable to calm down for a while. He killed them all in one move? That's thousands of immortal kings, even an 8th-grade immortal emperor can't stop it, right? Is he a 9th-grade immortal emperor? Everyone looked at the Thunder Tribulation Lord with astonished faces. Suddenly, ha! A burst of wild laughter sounded. Die, all of you go to hell! Dare to kill my son, all of you must be buried together. Zhong Li Xiao stood high in the sky and roared at the sky. His eyes were blood-red as if he was crazy. He stared at the Thunder Tribulation Lord. Even if you are a 9th-grade immortal emperor, so what? You have to die with my son. After this sound, buzz, the world shook and the endless wind and clouds rushed over. It spun quickly above Zhong Li Xiao's head. Wisps of grayish-white lightning flickered incessantly, bursting forth with a frightening might. That's Zhong Li Xiao's ultimate technique. I'm scared. What is that? The ghost wolf of hell is said to be a demigod-summoned beast. Zhong Li Xiao was able to occupy the Blood Wolf Star because of this move. That's the spectral wolf of hell? My old ancestor, who will save us? Once the ghost wolf appears, heaven and earth will wither. It's over, the entire purple sun star is finished. The group of cultivators looked at the sky with fear written all over their faces. His body felt like it was filled with lead, and it was extremely difficult for him to move. Gotcha! There was a clap of thunder, and heaven and earth changed color. A huge skeletal claw reached down from the sky, covering half of the sky. A terrifying might whizzed down from the claws, causing everyone to have difficulty breathing and cold sweat. Buzz, a sky-covering skull emerged from the black clouds. 2 blood-red eyes, like 2 suns, swept across everyone. At this moment, on the field, his body was sealed, and he was unable to move. Despair was written all over their faces, seeing that the skeleton's claws were about to fall. At this moment, woo! A sorrowful cry came from the sky. The ghost wolf of hell instantly drilled into the clouds and disappeared. The sky returned to calm. At this moment there was dead silence all around. Everyone stared blankly at the sky with a look of disbelief. Phew! They took a few long breaths before they calmed down. Their foreheads were covered with fine beads of sweat. Many people's clothes were soaked through, like a drowned chicken. The demigod ran away? Is there someone more terrifying than the ghost wolf of hell here? It seems so. It really scared me to death, it's too scary. Zhong Lixiao opened his mouth wide and stared blankly at the sky with a look of disbelief. Could it scare the ghost wolf of hell away? It had to be at least a 5th-grade demigod. There was a 5th-grade demigod here? How was it possible? What should I do? Zhong Lixiao's heart sank to hell, and his whole body was cold. Regret was written all over his face. He stood in place, and his whole body trembled uncontrollably. The next second, he was even more terrified. He saw. Sun Hao took a step forward and snorted coldly. Want to run? A light shout shook heaven and earth. Buzz, in the sky, there were layers of ripples. A ghost wolf that covered the sky was struggling frantically and was pulled out by an invisible hand. Woo! There was a burst of sorrowful cries as if it had suffered great horror. The ghost wolf's body shrank uncontrollably. In the end, it turned into a palm-sized skeleton wolf and fell into Sun Hao's hand. Zhong Lixiao looked at this scene. His voice trembled, and cold sweat flowed. Words come out. With just a thought, he grabbed the demigod-summoned beast in his hand. How many people in the world could do that? My ancestor, what kind of existence did I provoke? No. What kind of disaster did that evil creature cause for me? It's the father's fault to raise and not teach. It's all my fault, all my fault. If I didn't spoil him like this, I wouldn't have ended up like this. Zhong Lixiao stood in place with a bitter face. In Penglai Immortal City, there was even more dead silence. Everyone stared at Sun Hao blankly and did not react for a long time. Shock, disbelief, worship, all kinds of emotions were constantly intertwined on everyone's face. Words come out. Grabbing the demigod with one hand. In this era where the gods did not appear, who could do it? Everyone's thoughts stagnated, and for a while, they could not come back to their senses. My Lord, spare my life. The ghost wolf spoke human language and begged for mercy. How many creatures have you swallowed? Sun Hao asked. Lord, those I swallowed were all ordinary ants, only 100 billion, not worth mentioning. Please spare my life. I am willing to be your mount. The ghost wolf said. Hee, in my eyes you are just an ant die. After saying that, Sun Hao clenched his right hand. No, the heaven-shaking sorrowful cry resounded through the world. Boom! The ghost wolf's body exploded and burst into powder. After the wind blew, there was nothing left. Pinching a demigod was like pinching an ant. Such a terrifying scene strongly stimulated everyone's nerve. The entire scene was dead silent. Zhong Lixiao trembled all over, and his tongue trembled. Infinite fear crawled all over his body like black ants all over the sky. He covered his mouth with his hand, not daring to make a sound. Looking at Sun Hao was like looking at a peerless demon king. After a few long breaths, he felt a little better. He took a step forward, turned into a light shadow, and fled into the sky quickly. However, did I let you go? A sound rang in his ear. This sound seemed to carry the power of the law, and it instantly fixed Zhong Lixiao in place. It's over. Zhong Lixiao's face was full of despair, and the last thing he thought of was this word. So I am Tao Ancestor Source. Chapter 409. Whoosh! Zhong Lixiao's body flew out uncontrollably and landed in front of Sun Hao. Senior, I was wrong, please spare my life. It's my son's fault. His death is not worthy of pity, I was really wrong. Please spare my life. Zhong Lixiao cried bitterly and regretted it. Sun Hao smiled coldly and looked at Zhong Lixiao with cold killing intent. First, Zhongli Jingtian is not your son. Second, What's the use of keeping your temperament? Zhong Lixiao's expression changed drastically when he heard this. At this moment, he seemed to understand something. Could it be that Tian'er is the son of that bastard Zhong Liluan? While Zhong Lixiao was thinking, Sun Hao's finger pierced between his eyebrows. Seeing this scene, Zhong Lixiao's pupils shrank, and his expression changed drastically. No, senior. Boom! Two sounds rang out at the same time. Zhong Lixiao's body shattered into powder and disappeared without a trace. Killing an immortal emperor was like killing an ant. Everyone stared blankly at this scene, unable to calm down for a long time. Zhong Lizi looked at Sun Hao with admiration and gratitude, constantly sweeping over. He walked to Sun Hao and knelt down. "Thank you for saving my life, young master." "You're welcome, get up." Sun Hao waved his right hand, and wisps of immortal power came from all directions and quickly poured into Zhong Li's body. Zhong Li's body recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye, and in less than a moment, he recovered to his original state. "Young master, the mansion has been destroyed, would you like to go to the restaurant?" Zhong Li said. "All right." Sun Hao nodded slightly. Under Zhong Li's lead, they quickly flew to a restaurant. Soon, their figures disappeared from everyone's sight. The onlookers stood in place, and their expressions changed. They didn't come back to their senses until Sun Hao's figure disappeared. My ancestor, Master Qin's master, turned out to be such a terrifying powerhouse. I thought he was immortal, but now it seems that I was wrong. He's at least a 7th-grade demigod. Oh my god, there's actually a 7th-grade demigod from Xiang's star. I think the guard next to him is also a demigod. Exclamations kept ringing. Many people who were holding treasures to get to know Sun Hao couldn't help but wipe their cold sweat at this moment. Such a character would definitely not be interested in the immortal godly medicine. I actually want to use a high-grade immortal artifact to get to know Senior? He must be tired of living in a restaurant. Young master, is there anything that brings you here? Is there anything I can help with? Zhong Lizi asked. I'm going to the Heavenly Dipper Galaxy. Sun Hao said. That's unfortunate. A few days ago, Planet Blackman's teleportation portal was broken. It's currently being repaired. It'll probably take another half a month, said Zhong Lizi. Half a month? Sun Hao nodded slightly. He could afford to wait for half a month. He could stay here for a while longer. City Lord. At this moment, an urgent voice came from outside the door. Hearing this, Sun Hao looked startled. He looked at Zhong Lizi with a puzzled expression. You're the city lord? Zhong Lizi laughed bitterly. Young master, my Zhong family is extinct, including my great-grandson. So, there's no other way. I can only be the city lord. Then you are busy. Sun Hao nodded slightly. Yes, young master. Zhong Lizi looked at the door. Come in. Tap tap. A man quickly rushed to Zhong Lizi and knelt down. City Lord, it's not good. Speak. City Lord, several cities in the southern region have been annihilated. According to the investigation of the spies, I'm afraid this is the work of the soul-devouring insects. As soon as these words came out, Zhong Lizi staggered, and his eyes showed a deep panic. Soul-devouring insects, that was an ancient exotic insect, raised by a taboo existence. This kind of insect could not only devour human blood essence, but also devour human souls. It was simply evil to the extreme, and no one dared to touch it. Didn't this kind of evil insect all die in ancient times? Why did it appear again now? Moreover, it devoured the cultivators of several cities. Presumably, the number now was so large that it was impossible to estimate. By the way, with the young master here, what was there to be afraid of? This soul-devouring insect must be eradicated. Thinking like this, Zhong Lizi looked back and couldn't help but look startled. He saw that there was no figure of Sun Hao and Zhong Lizi. The young master must have gone to destroy the soul-devouring insects. How can I fall behind? Zhong Lizi looked at his men and said, passed down the order all city guards to gather in the south of the city. At the same time, form the southern army, spread the news of the soul-devouring insects, and gather ambitious people to join. The soul-devouring insects must be completely eliminated, Zhonglizi said, after a while, in the sky above Penglai Immortal City. Not good. A large number of soul-devouring insects have appeared in the southern region of Penglai. A voice came from the sky. These voices, like the ninth heaven divine thunder, struck everyone's mind. Everyone in the city trembled, and their faces were full of panic. Are you serious? You can't talk about this. It can't be? Didn't the soul-devouring insects perish in ancient times? How can there still be? Why am I so unlucky? The teleportation array was just broken, and the soul-devouring insects appeared. What should I do? Exclamations resounded throughout the city. Many people hurriedly flew out of the city, fleeing madly for their lives. The whole scene was in chaos. Woo! At this moment a horn was blown. This sound like a stick pressed in everyone's mind. The soul-devouring insects have invaded the southern region, and they are growing rapidly. Once they grow up, they will engulf the entire purple sun star, and all living beings will be destroyed. If this goes on, I'm afraid all living beings in the human world will become food for the soul-devouring insects. Not for yourself, but for your family. You have to think clearly. At present, the soul-devouring insects are only nymph. Once they become adults, it will be too late for regrets. I, Zhonglizi, am willing to personally lead the army to the southern region to suppress the soul-devouring insects. Those who are not afraid of death, please come and sign up. A roar clearly spread to everyone's ears. Hearing this, many people stood in place, their expressions changing. I'll join. I'll join too. If we die, we die. If the soul-devouring insects really grow up, we can't escape death. Let's fight. Where do we sign up? I'll go immediately. Many people stood up. Gather at the south gate of Penglai Immortal City. We'll leave in 2 hours. The voice rolled out like thunder. After saying this, everyone stepped forward and rushed to the south gate. At least tens of millions of people moved. Soon after, above the south gate, it was densely packed with immortal cultivators. The number of onlookers reached 80%. Are there really so many people who are not afraid of death? Do you think everyone is like you? You still have the face to talk about me? Why don't you go? You know the answer. Fighting with the soul-devouring insects is actually courting death. I won't court death. These people stood in the sky, discussing in a low voice. Looking at those who joined the southern army, a sneer appeared on his face. I, Ning Nanbei, volunteer to join the southern army, regardless of life or death. I, Zhang Haitao, volunteer to join the southern army, regardless of life or death. One by one, the immortal cultivators walked forward, signed the life and death contract, and stood in the line, with a look of facing death calmly. The southern army gathered more and more, and in the blink of an eye, it reached 10 million. Zhonglizi stood in the sky, looking at the army in front of him, and roared, set off. A loud roar. Whoosh, the neat roar made people's blood boil. The army of 10 million, like locusts, flew quickly to the south. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared into the sky. The rest of the people were hundreds of millions of onlookers. Shall we go and see? Go and see? What's the difference between this and courting death? Let's run. Of course, we have to see what the soul-devouring insects look like. These people were divided into 2 groups, and one group quickly followed. The other group returned to the city, packed up, and fled to the north of the city. Chapter 410. In the southern region of Penglai continent, above a mountain range, Zhonglizi stood in the sky with tens of millions of people, looking at the scene in front of him. He could not help but frown slightly. That is. Zhonglizi's face was full of doubt. He saw that tens of kilometers away, there was a huge blood ball enveloping the world. Even if it was far enough, he could still feel the terrifying power of the blood ball. It looked like a floating planet, as if it would fall to the ground at any time and burst open. Buzz! Suddenly, the sound of wings flapping sounded. His voice startled everyone present. Looking down, everyone's pupils shrank, and their faces changed dramatically. They saw. In the forest below, blood-red insects flew up and pounced straight at them. Each insect exuded a violent aura. At a glance, it made people's scalp explode. Seeing these insects, Zhong Lizi's face changed dramatically. How could he not recognize these insects? They were all the infamous soul-devouring insect. The number was simply incalculable. Zhong Lizi roared without thinking, prepare to fight. However, there was no time. Buzz, the soul-devouring insects darted like lightning, and in an instant, they enveloped tens of millions of people. Surrounded by soul-devouring insects, how could they survive? It's over. Only these two words burst out in their mind. They stood in place, closed their eyes, and quietly waited for death. Buzz, all that came to their ears was the roar of wings flapping. Driving a gust of wind, blowing on their faces, it was painful. These sounds came quickly and left even faster. Soon, they disappeared into the distance. Everyone slowly opened their eyes, their faces full of disbelief. They touched their cheeks, showing the joy of surviving a disaster. I didn't die. God saw that I didn't find a cultivation companion. How could he bear to let me die like this? No, it has nothing to do with God. Look. Everyone looked up, looking at the direction where the soul-devouring insects flew, and couldn't help but widen their eyes. They saw that the soul-devouring insects flew forward. It was the blood-red planet. Could it be that there is something on that planet that attracts them? Did we just barely escape? No, that's not a planet. Those are made up of soul-devouring insects. What? This, so many soul-devouring insects, my God. What should we do? Even though they had signed a life and death contract, how could they not fear death? Just now, the strength of these soul-devouring insects had already shown everyone. In terms of speed, they wouldn't even be able to catch up. Once they entered the body through the 7 orifices of the human body, how could one survive? His entire person would probably become a breeding ground for soul-devouring insects. Everyone's gazes were fixed on Zhong Lizi, waiting for him to speak. Zhong Lizi looked at the planet formed by the soul-devouring insects and revealed a thoughtful expression. After a while, he turned around and looked at the crowd. With so many soul-devouring insects gathered together, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We will gather everyone's strength and attack together. We will strive to destroy these soul-devouring insects in one strike. Does everyone understand? Zhong Lizi said. Understood. The orderly voices shook the heavens. Under Zhong Lizi's lead, everyone moved together and ran towards the soul-devouring insects. Not long after, everyone stood thousands of meters away, looking at the soul-devouring insects that covered the sky and covered the earth like locusts, their faces grave. This planet formed by soul-devouring insects had a diameter of 100,000 meters. It looked like a giant cloud shrouding the entire world. Buzz, a huge roar shook everyone's mind, their faces full of fear. They looked at Zhong Lizi, waiting for his orders. Ready! Zhong Lizi roared. Wisps of immortal power poured into his hands from his meridians and flowed into the immortal weapons. These immortal weapons bloomed with different lights, and everyone's hands were trembling. Zhong Lizi was about to wave his right hand. At this time, Buzz, a sound shook from the center of the soul-devouring insects. A spherical wave shook in all directions. The surrounding soul-devouring insects exploded one by one, exploding into powder. A gust of wind passed, and the soul-devouring insects didn't even leave a bit of powder. The army of 10 million looked at this scene and couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Dead? They're all dead? Everyone's face revealed a look of disbelief. For a moment they stood dumbfounded in place, unable to calm down. Look, A cry of alarm sounded. Everyone squinted to look, their pupils constricted, and their eyes bloomed with a strange light. It's that senior. It turns out that the senior attracted those soul-devouring insects, and he killed them all in one move, my God. The might of the senior, we can't catch up. The light of worship swept on the man in white in front of him. This person was Sun Hao. After he swept the crowd in front of him, his divine sense swept to the onlookers further away, and he couldn't help but frown slightly. Who? He stepped out and instantly stood in front of Zhonglizi and the others. Greetings, young master. Greetings, senior. Everyone bowed and saluted, very respectful. No need to be polite. Are you here to eliminate the soul-devouring insects? Sun Hao looked at Zhonglizi and the others and asked. Yes, young master. Zhonglizi nodded. Then do you know the danger of the soul-devouring insects? Sun Hao asked. Young master, we naturally know. However, in order to eliminate the soul-devouring insects, we all signed the life and death contract. Zhonglizi said. Looking at the pairs of eyes that looked at death calmly, Sun Hao nodded slightly. You did a good job, your courage is commendable. However, it's not advisable to show off your bravery. There's no use for you to come here except to become the food of the soul-devouring insects and reproduce more soul-devouring insects. It may be better to learn from them. Sun Hao pointed to the group of onlookers and said. As soon as these words came out, the onlookers exploded in an instant. Haha, a group of idiots. Did you hear what the senior said? That's right, idiots. Without any strength, you still want to show off your bravery. This is completely sending yourself to death. I'm dying of laughter, my stomach hurts from laughing, there are still such fools in this world. Fortunately, I didn't go, it was a wise choice. Such a voice, like a silver needle, stabbed into the chest of the Southern Army. At this moment, they lowered their heads, showing a look of shame. Young master, it's my fault. Zhonglizi stepped forward and knelt down. Sun Hao raised the corner of his mouth, patted Zhonglizi on the shoulder, and helped him up. Although your actions are inconsiderate, your courage is worth learning from. Since you have the heart to fight against the soul-devouring insects, then I will give you the strength to fight against the soul-devouring insects. These two sounds were not loud, but they blasted into everyone's ears like thunder. In the ears of the Southern Army, there was a strange light blooming. That kind of disbelief and surprise was written all over their faces. The senior said to give us the strength to fight against the soul-devouring insects? Is this true? I heard it too. How can the senior's words be false? Giving people strength, can a demigod do this method? How can we estimate a demigod? Wait and see. Everyone looked at Sun Hao, excited. They saw. Sun Hao took out the ancient zither, sat in front of everyone, and began to play. Zheng, the sound of the zither vibrated out. The seven-colored spirit essence, like a thick mist, rushed out of Sun Hao's fingertips. In less than a moment it enveloped the Southern Army. The endless seven-colored spirit essence quickly poured into everyone's body. At this moment, everyone's body was as if immersed in the warm winter sun, exceptionally comfortable. The cells of the whole body quickly became active. Especially some female cultivators, they bit their lips tightly to prevent themselves from making a sound. However, under this extreme comfortable stimulation, how could they bear it? Oh, bursts of cries resounded through the world. Chapter 4:11. Kacha, the sound of the barrier of the realm breaking sounded. In the army of 10 million, everyone's strength was skyrocketing. Not only the realm improved, but also the soul, body, and state of mind were enhanced. I broke through again. I didn't expect that I broke through several realms at once. I broke through from the yellow immortal realm to the immortal venerable realm? God, tell me this is not a dream, right? Oh, I'm not dreaming, senior. Your kindness to me can't be repaid. Exclamations kept ringing out. These voices, like magic sounds, came into the ears of the onlookers, strongly stimulating their nerves. They stood in place, their faces changing. That's seven-colored divine essence. That senior can play seven-colored divine essence with a song? It's fake, right? This is incredible. They are breaking through quickly, my ancestor. The onlookers stared blankly at this scene, and for a while they did not recover. After a while, hiss, the sound of inhaling cold air came one after another. Many people's faces showed endless regret. They looked at the Southern Army with a look of jealousy. I regret it. Why don't I join them? Don't say it, I'm AF * King Fool, such a good fortune, I actually slipped away. Cultivation is originally going against the heavens, not afraid of life and death. I didn't expect that I became a coward. God, I deserve to die. Such a voice sounded in the crowd of onlookers. On everyone's face there was a look of regret. Of course, there were also some cultivators with small calculations. We can also absorb those divine essence. Where is the senior who gave you this courage? What are you afraid of? The senior is playing the zither seriously and won't pay attention to this. Let's go and take a look. If we break through a few realms, it's worth it. Many people flew out of the crowd and carefully flew toward the Southern Army. After seeing Sun Hao did not respond, their courage gradually grew. Thump, thump, the closer they were to the Southern Army, the more violent their heartbeats became. They looked at the seven-colored divine essence, and their eyes bloomed with a strange light. Closer, closer and closer. They would be able to touch the seven-colored divine essence soon. There was no accident. They rushed into the seven-colored divine essence. Closing their eyes, sitting cross-legged in the air, they began to absorb. However, after absorbing it for a while, there was still no reaction. When he opened his eyes to take a look, his forehead couldn't help but turn black. It was only to see that those seven-colored divine essence seemed to have intelligence, circling around them and did not approach. He reached out to touch it, only to find that it was right in front of him, but he couldn't touch it. At this moment, their hearts sank to the bottom of an icehouse. Regret was written all over his face. Let's go. We're not fated with the good fortune. It's all my fault. I can't blame anyone else for being so cowardly. These people stood up one by one. He left the crowd with a dejected look on his face. His face was filled with regret. Clang, the sound of the zither continued. Endless divine essence continued to bore into the body of the Southern Army. Kacha, the sound of a breakthrough continued. After a long while, Sun Hao stopped playing the zither again, looked at the Southern Army, and nodded slightly. When you're done absorbing it, I'm sure your strength will break through a few levels. Absorb it well. After speaking, Sun Hao turned around and looked at the Thunder Tribulation ruler. Let's go. All right, young master. The two of them took a step forward and instantly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already above a city. Sun Hao looked at the city and frowned slightly. He saw. In the city below there was a bleak scene. The city was obviously very complete, but there was no one there. The sound of soul-devouring insect kept coming from the city. Humph! Sun Hao snorted coldly and scanned with his divine sense. Immediately, endless soul-devouring insects flew out of the city and went straight to Sun Hao. A violent aura emanated from them. Buzz, the soul-devouring insects circled around Sun Hao like a bomber. They couldn't get close at all. More and more soul-devouring insects gathered. In less than a moment, a giant red ball was formed. With Sun Hao as the center, within 1,000 miles, all the soul-devouring insects flew over quickly. After coming to Sun Hao's side, they circled around Sun Hao. They changed from violent to respectful, and it looked like they were submitting to Sun Hao. Sun Hao stood in the center, closed his eyes, and remained motionless. About half an hour later, Sun Hao opened his eyes and a bright light burst out. Buzz, an impact, centered on him, spread in all directions in a spherical shape. Wherever it went, The soul-devouring insects burst into powder one by one and disappeared without a trace. All around, calm was restored. Thunder Tribulation Lord came forward and looked at Sun Hao with a puzzled face. "Young master, these soul-devouring insects have recognized you as their master. Why do you want to destroy them?" "They recognized me as their master." Sun Hao's face showed a touch of cold killing intent. "However, there is still a will on them." "A will?" Thunder Tribulation Lord raised his eyebrows. "Could it be that there is a strong person controlling them?" "Yes." Seeing Sun Hao nodding, Thunder Tribulation Lord couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. Each soul-devouring insect released a will. How strong was the person who controlled these soul-devouring insects? I'm afraid that person's strength was not simple. "Young master, let me do it?" Thunder Tribulation Lord said. "No. If you make a move, I'm afraid that this place will be destroyed by you." Sun Hao said. "Young master, I will pay attention as your guard. I can't let you do everything." Thunder Tribulation Lord said. "There will be many opportunities in the future. Leave this place to me." After Sun Hao finished speaking, his right hand pressed forward. Buzz, the air shook. A palm-sized soul-devouring insect flew out of the void and landed in front of Sun Hao. This is? Adult insect. Thunder Tribulation Lord looked at the soul-devouring insect, and fine beads of sweat overflowed on his forehead. This soul-devouring insect's strength actually reached the demigod realm. If it was the previous him, he must go all out to win. This is not an adult insect, but also the soul-devouring insect king. Those wills just now were released by it. Sun Hao said. "What?" Thunder Tribulation Lord's eyes widened, and his face was shocked. "Young master, then quickly destroy it," Thunder Tribulation Lord said. "No." Sun Hao shook his head slightly. "I have a kind of uneasiness in my heart. I always feel that all this is a conspiracy, but I can't understand it." "Conspiracy? Young master, do you mean that someone deliberately created all this?" Thunder Tribulation Lord asked. "Yes." Sun Hao nodded. "Who the hell is it? What is the purpose? Is it a taboo existence?" Thunder Tribulation Lord's eyes showed deep fear. "I don't know." Sun Hao shook his head slightly and looked ahead. "Let's kill these soul-devouring insects first." "Yes, young master." Thunder Tribulation Lord nodded. Buzz, Sun Hao took Thunder Tribulation Lord, strode into the ripples, and disappeared in place instantly. Chapter 412. One day later. Somewhere in the sky of the southern region of Penglai continent, Sun Hao stood in the sky, looking at the nearly 100 soul-devouring bug kings in front of him, revealing a thoughtful look. "Who the hell is it? Why do you want to make these bug kings? What is his purpose? Why do I feel that all this is against me?" Sun Hao thought secretly, frowning. He seemed to catch something, but it seemed that he couldn't catch anything. He felt that everything was illusory and untraceable. No matter, since the soul-devouring bug kings have been found, then go to hell. Thinking like this, Sun Hao waved his right hand, and a force rushed to the soul-devouring bug king. Immediately, boom, 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 the sound of explosions kept ringing. All the soul-devouring bug kings burst into powder. Is this the karma line? It hasn't been erased yet. Sure enough, someone did it. Let me see, who are you? Thinking like this, Sun Hao's mind moved. Karma Dao formed a karma thread, and connected with the karma thread on the soul-devouring bug. Immediately, a picture appeared in Sun Hao's mind. Sun Hao retracted his mind. He looked in the direction of Penglai Immortal City with a solemn face. The murderer is in Penglai Immortal City? Does he know that I am going to Heavenly Dipper Star? Did he bring me here just to stop me? No wonder, as soon as I came here, the teleportation array over there was broken. Not good. Sun Hao's scalp was numb, and he thought it was not good. Without any hesitation, Zhang Xian took a step forward. Buzz, the sky shook with layers of ripples, and Sun Hao disappeared in place instantly. When he appeared again, he was already over Penglai Immortal City. His divine sense swept toward the teleportation array, and he couldn't help but breathe a long sigh of relief. Fortunately, the teleportation array was still there. It seemed that he thought too much. Sun Hao breathed a long sigh of relief and secretly wiped his cold sweat. However, Gotcha! The sound of an eggshell cracking sounded. Cracks covered the entire teleportation array. Boom! Before Sun Hao could react, the teleportation array exploded into powder. Even the foundation of the Great Formation had completely collapsed. At this point, the teleportation array to Black Moon Star was completely destroyed. Even if he wanted to fix it, it would be impossible for him to do so. The only way to succeed was to split into two bodies and set them up on two different planets at the same time. Damn it! Sun Hao secretly cursed, and his anger rose. It was too obvious that someone was trying to stop him from going to the Shadow Realm. There must be some truth there. I really want to see who exactly is trying to stop me. Sun Hao's mind moved, and the great Tao of Karma was released again. Sun Hao clearly captured the remaining karma lines in the place where the great array exploded. After the translation of the great Tao of Karma, Sun Hao's gaze swept toward the void ahead. Since you're here, don't leave. A cold snort shook heaven and earth. In the void, a green-furred ape-shaped monster was pulled out by an invisible hand. Squeak! The ape-shaped monster fell into Sun Hao's hands and squeaked. These voices seemed to contain the voice of the soul. Rumbling sounds rang out in everyone's heads, causing their expressions to turn unsightly. In the city, everyone looked at the sky and stared at Sun Hao. That senior is back. What kind of monster is in his hand? That's a green nightmare, the slave of a forbidden existence. What? Forbidden existence? First the soul-devouring insect, now the green nightmare. My God, will the forbidden existence be resurrected? Panicked voices kept ringing out. Jia, a burst of laughter came from Green Nightmare's mouth. He stared at Sun Hao and spoke in human language. Stupid boy, I advise you to let me go. The great master is about to be resurrected. When he comes, he'll let you die a quick death. And you, ants, when the master returns, it will be your death. Jia, arrogant laughter echoed between heaven and earth, lingering for a long time. Say, who is your master? Sun Hao's voice was cold, and his killing intent soared. Don't even think about knowing. Green Nightmare said. Is that so? Sun Hao's mind moved, and a few wisps of air drilled into Green Nightmare's body. Squeak! Squeak! Bursts of screams resounded through heaven and earth. In less than a moment, Green Nightmare's breath was like gossamer. Say it or not, I will not die. The great master is alive and will resurrect me. Jia, Green Nightmare laughed up to the sky, and his body swelled rapidly. Boom! With an explosion, Green Nightmare's body exploded into powder. What was left in place was only a wisp of carmeline. Master? Taboo existence. I'd like to see what kind of sacred being you are, daring to block my way? Sun Hao looked at the karma line left in place and immediately released the karma Tao. The karma line struggled wildly and seemed to be out of Sun Hao's control. The terrifying power shook Sun Hao's mind, shaking his soul as if it was about to leave his body. Break! Sun Hao roared and exerted force with his right hand. Boom! There was an explosion. The power shrouding the karma line all exploded into nothingness. Sun Hao's mind followed the karma line and quickly found the source of Green Nightmare. Withdrawing his consciousness, Sun Hao looked at the east and couldn't help but frown slightly. That power just now was very terrifying. What was in that place? Everything must be done carefully. After asking about the situation, he would make plans. Zhonglizi has lived in Penglai continent for a long time, and he must be very clear. Sun Hao nodded secretly and was about to move. Buzz, the sky trembled. Thunder Tribulation Lord walked out of the ripples and stood in front of Sun Hao. Young master, why don't you wait for me? Thunder Tribulation Lord asked. There's something urgent. Let's go find Zhonglizi. Yes, young master. Sun Hao took Thunder Tribulation Lord, stepped into the void, and disappeared. Everyone in the city looked at the sky, and it took a long time for them to calm down. That's terrible, that senior is too strong. Yeah, that's Green Nightmare, the weakest strength is not weaker than the second-grade demigod, but it was pinched to death by the senior. Is the senior a god? It's very possible. After saying this, hiss, the sound of inhaling cold air came one after another. Everyone stood in place, awe, worship, and the light kept flashing. They looked in the direction where Sun Hao disappeared, and did not retract their gaze for a long time. South of Penglai Immortal City, over a mountain range, tens of millions of people sat in place, devouring the seven-colored divine essence. The seven-colored divine essence around was getting less and less. Soon, it all disappeared. Breakthrough, I actually became a 9th-grade immortal emperor? Zhonglizi stood in place, clenching his fists, and was so excited that he did not recover for a long time. Breaking through the realm was as simple as drinking water and eating? In this world, apart from the young master, who else could have this ability? I actually became a 9th-grade immortal emperor. I am a 2nd-grade immortal emperor? I am actually a 5th-grade immortal emperor. Incredible! The Southern Army stood up one by one, their faces showing uncontrollable surprise. That excited look was indescribable in words. In the distance, the onlookers watched this scene, and their expressions changed. Remorse, unwillingness, jealousy. All kinds of emotions showed on their faces. Most of all, regret. After a day of watching, they watched many people in the Southern Army change from ordinary half-immortals to immortals, immortal kings, and immortal emperors. They even reached the immortal emperor realm. These tens of millions of people, no matter where they were powerhouses who guarded one side. Gathered together, it was a force that could not be ignored. Now, facing them was like facing an ancestor, and he had to be careful. Buzz, suddenly there was a shock. In the sky there were layers of ripples, and two figures walked out of the ripples. Seeing these two people, everyone's eyes lit up, and their faces were full of joy. The seniors are here. Chapter 413. Greetings, young master. The Southern Army stood in front of Sun Hao and saluted respectfully. Everyone's faces were filled with heartfelt admiration and gratitude. No need for formalities. Thank you, young master. Zhonglizi stepped forward and stood in front of Sun Hao with an excited face. Let's go, I have something to discuss with you. Sun Hao waved his right hand and disappeared with Zhonglizi. After the two came to the void and laid the enchantment, Sun Hao told them about the broken teleportation array. What? Zhonglizi turned pale with fright. Young master, if both ends of the teleportation formation are broken, then it can never be repaired unless it is rebuilt. However, even if there are formation masters on both sides, it will still take time to build, at least 100 years. Zhonglizi said. Sun Hao frowned slightly. What he lacked the most now was time. It wouldn't take long for them to build their own. But on the other hand, if someone were to build it, 100 years would be considered short. They couldn't afford it at all. Yes, I know. Sun Hao's face showed a touch of anxiety. Young master, are you in a hurry to go to the Big Dipper galaxy? Zhonglizi asked. And Sun Hao nodded. Young master, I have a method here, but... Zhonglizi hesitated. But what? Sun Hao's eyes reappeared. However, this method is quite dangerous. Zhonglizi said. Tell me. Sun Hao said. Young master, the 3,000 small worlds exist by relying on the three realms. Some of the small worlds have ancient almighties who opened up spatial passageways in certain parts of the three realms. Young master, do you know of the Tathagata Buddhist kingdom? Zhonglizi asked. I know. Sun Hao nodded slightly. I've looked through an ancient book, and know that Rulai Buddhist country had opened up space passageways in many galaxies in order to spread the teachings of Buddhism. Among them is the main star of the Big Dipper galaxy, the Big Dipper star. Zhonglizi said. Hearing this, Sun Hao's eyes lit up. Finally, there was hope again. According to what you said, this Xiang star's nirvana is also a space passage opened by Ancestor Tathagata? Sun Hao asked. Not bad. Zhonglizi nodded slightly. Young master, as long as we can enter Tathagata's Buddhist kingdom, we should be able to find the spatial passageway to Big Dipper star. It's just that Tathagata's Buddhist kingdom is extremely dangerous. Even deities have never come out after entering. If we go rashly, I'm afraid, Zhonglizi said. Yes, I know what to do. Sun Hao nodded slightly, his eyes flashing. After a long while, he finally calmed down and looked at Zhonglizi. Do you know what is 5,000 kilometers east of Penglai Immortal City? 5,000 kilometers? Zhonglizi frowned, a thoughtful look on his face. After a while, his expression changed drastically, and fear filled his face. Young master, that is the Immortal Forbidden Area, Immortal Suppression Valley. Zhonglizi said. Immortal Suppression Valley? Yes, young master. Zhonglizi nodded slightly. That is the most dangerous place in our Penglai continent. None of the practitioners that have entered have ever come out. It is said that an immortal emperor entered and did not come out. That's why we call it the Immortal Subduing Valley. Young master asked about that place. Could it be that the Green Nightmare came from there? Zhonglizi asked. Not bad. Sun Hao nodded. Young master, what do you intend to do? Zhonglizi probed. Of course, it is to blow him up. Sun Hao's face was full of cold killing intent. Since they dared to stop him from going to the Shadow Realm, no matter who they were, he would definitely destroy them. Zhonglizi's expression kept changing. He wanted to open his mouth to stop it, but he couldn't say half a word. Young master, then you have to be careful, Zhonglizi said. Don't worry, I will. Sun Hao stood up and looked at the Southern Army. They will be handed over to you. Cultivate hard, there is still a long way to go in the future. At this point, Sun Hao's figure flashed and disappeared in place. Zhonglizi stood in place for a long time without moving. In the corner of his eyes, 2 lines of hot tears slipped down. Young master, you have worked hard for the human race. This mind has never been seen since ancient times. Thank you for not killing me at the beginning and for reminding me. I will take you as an example. After a long time, Zhonglizi withdrew his gaze. He strode toward the southern battlefront army. East of Penglai Immortal City, in a mountain range, there was a valley with a diameter of thousands of kilometers. This valley was oval, with a mountain peak protruding in the middle. Looking from a distance, it looked like a huge ingot. This valley was called Immortal Suppression Valley, also known as the Immortal Forbidden Area. The Immortal Realm powerhouses who entered it, without exception, did not come out. On this day, Sun Hao and the Thunder Tribulation Lord stood over the Immortal Suppression Valley, looking at the gray mist below, releasing their divine senses to scan. However, this gray mist could block divine senses. Even Sun Hao could only release it to a depth of a kilometer, and he couldn't see the bottom at all. What kind of mist is this? My divine senses can only release half a meter. The Thunder Tribulation Lord's face showed a touch of fear. Young master, let me do it here. The Thunder Tribulation Lord asked. All right, you can destroy this valley as much as you want. Sun Hao nodded. Yes, young master. The Thunder Tribulation Lord's eyes glowed, like a person who had been holding back for thousands of years, released at this moment. The Thunder Tribulation Lord clenched his right hand, and 4 strands of electric light galloped in his hand, bursting out a soul-stirring power. The sky darkened instantly. Dark clouds covered the entire sky, blocking out the sunlight. Z. Electric lights of different colors galloped in the dark clouds, making a sizzling sound. Every time it galloped, it would make the world tremble, and the air waves kept shaking. Go! The Thunder Tribulation Lord shouted softly, and 4 strands of electric light flew from his hand and poured into the dark clouds. OMZ. The earth-shaking roar sounded constantly. The whole world seemed to be about to collapse, and the horror was boundless. After a while, 4 thunder and lightning giants emerged from the dark clouds and floated in the sky. The giants were up to 5 kilometers tall, and their vigorous aura seemed to be able to compete with the sky. Red, yellow, blue, and purple electric lights wandered on 4 different thunder and lightning giants. The terrifying power was enough to destroy heaven and earth. Go! Destroy the valley below. The Thunder Tribulation Lord pointed with his right hand. The 4 thunder and lightning giants cupped their fists and saluted. Then, they turned into 4 bolts of lightning, divided into 4 directions, and went straight to the immortal subduing valley. Boom! Boom! There were 4 explosions. The moment the thunder and lightning giants touched the gray mist, all the gray mist evaporated. After landing in the immortal subduing valley, the thunder and lightning giants stretched out their hands at the same time. 4 huge thunder and lightning balls were born in their hands. 2 thunder and lightning whiskers were born at the 2 ends of the thunder and lightning ball. The Thunder Tribulation whiskers grew rapidly, and in the blink of an eye, they grew to thousands of kilometers long and merged with the approaching thunder and lightning whiskers. The 4 thunder and lightning balls merged together through the Thunder Tribulation whiskers. Boom! Boom! The terrifying power formed a shock wave that struck in all directions. Wherever it went, the ground was lifted up and rose and exploded into powder. The entire Earth, unable to withstand this power at all, exploded with the momentum of toppling mountains and overturning seas. Looking at it, the entire valley was about to be blasted into pieces. At this time, a strange cry broke through the sky. Then, boom! Deafening explosions rang out incessantly.